Hello, hello, hello. Today we have a special episode of Crypto in the Morning. It's your boy GRC. Crazy times in Twitter. To say that it's not emotionally draining to go through this a little bit would be a lie. I don't care about the price going down, but I care all the plebs crying. It does melt into my zone a little bit. You know, you can't keep the plebs too far away. They're always lurking. They always have something to say. So what I've been doing is spending way less time with my phone the last 2 days. I did the lawn for 3 hours yesterday as well as I could. No phone. Well, I have my earbuds in, music. But for someone who's on social media all day, that's a lot. 3 hours. Then I went to the gym for twice. Didn't look at my phone once while I was at the gym twice. So that's a little bit of how I kind of counteract a little bit of because it's just you looking at your phone, really. I mean, if you're not looking at your phone, you're just breathing and eating. So just do something else, guys. Stop staring at the screen. The value proposition of Hex has not changed. The valuation has changed in US dollar and in Hex terms, I guess. But when you can tell me that trustless, immutable yield is going to go out of style, then I will say that Hex is going to go down. But as far as trustless, immutable, 38%, the price performance that it's been, the value prop is the same. Nothing's changed. The code has not changed. While everything changes around us, Hex has remained the same. Why? Because it's locked in, baby. It's buyers and sellers. And some of us broke plebs don't give fucks about you rich ding-dongs. Literally. It doesn't, I'm not saying I don't like all of them. I love them. They're all amazing. But, you got to understand, the way people think is generally based on the value proposition which they hold. So the way that I think is going to be different from someone that if Hex went to zero, they would want to die. Wouldn't it, Sam? Wouldn't we think about it different? If somebody was if I knew that most of your stuff, even if you had other stuff going on, I would still be he's in a different spot. He has to think about this critically. This is life. This is food. This is eating, family. We got stuff going on, guys. The value prop for Hex has not changed. While everything else changes around it, the value of Hex remains the same to me. The valuation is a little low right now. At 54 cents, it was a little high potentially. Not really. People knew it wouldn't be, but you know what I mean? We got overextended. People wanted to play with house money. People wanted to take their girl out to the club and then show them their staker app. It happens, guys. You do that, you take the L. I have so many plebs in my DMs telling me Richard Hart is an idiot just because they bought at 30 cents. I'm it's not a good point. It's not a good point. When you watch every crypto in the world go down 85% and then recover and hit all-time highs, I don't understand why people don't see it. Why not? I want to talk to Sam about all this stuff. I can't even. Me and Sam I'm going to be reading the comments a lot. Me and Sam are going to be diving into all sorts of concepts. Sam's been on a tear. He's kind of been I was looking at some of his tweets this morning and I was alpha, 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 literally. And I just didn't even comment. I was what the fuck is he smoking over there? I was I got to, because dude, whatever you wrote, I was early about the S&P this morning. I was what the fuck? I was wait, I read it 3 times and then I was hold on. Is that real? And then people in the comments were wait, this is alpha. And I was holy shit. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Guys, see you in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Young folks, you dripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex, I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post ain't lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post ain't lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Girl flexing all this bread like I'm Richard Hurt. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Buy my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hurt. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hurt. Richard Hurt. Richard Hurt. Richard Hurt. Getting this back like a year ago.
You get it, get it, get it.
You know what they
Very
say?
loud,
You want me to drop it? Okay. Classic, guys. Sam.
Good stuff today. I got a different idea from Crypto Sloth in regards to Hex being a black hole. We're going to talk about that. Actually,
Yeah, what the heck does that mean?
In a good context, you got some really good points. The NASDAQ trading volume, we're gonna get into that, as well as if you think that like the history is maybe a good predictor, or at least one of the best predictors we have of potentially future events, then we're going to take a look at Ethereum, Solana, ADA, and BNB, their returns in the first year, 2 years, and 3 years, and see what could be possible with Pulse over the 1, 2, and 3 year time frames. So I'm excited. This is going to be a good show. This is going to be a really good show. I went live with Crypto Sloth last night.
I know I missed that because I was with the fitness challenge guys, but I was craving that sloth talk, and no, it was great yesterday with the fitness challenge. We talked a lot about daily life habits again. I always tell it was social. We were talking a lot about social life too, like how to be like. I was telling people how important it is just to be around people. It's not, you don't necessarily have to be talking to people sometimes, but humans were meant to be around people, I think, and linger amongst people. So I think if people stay at their house too much, and I do this at the time, I'll just go to the gym for two times a day sometimes just because I want to be around people. Well, I also want to work out, but like it's nice to be around people in the public.
You know, it is because sometimes at least I do, and I'm assuming you're similar in the sense where I'll be sitting here most of the day. And I'm not interacting. My girlfriend's maybe out of town, and it's just me here at the house. And I'll be sitting here all day by myself, and I'm like, I should probably go for a walk or like be out in public and talk to somebody or just get on the phone with somebody because I think it's a healthy thing. Plus, it's something I enjoy to do. So I can completely concur. Did that go well with the AMA and the questions and everything like that?
Yep, it went really well. I always enjoy it. Bran was in there. We were all just chit-chatting, Some people were saying, hey, man, I can't believe some of these people are losing 50 pounds. They didn't really understand, like, it's just different body composition. So I was letting people know, like, about how fat is lost and how it takes time and how if you have excess body fat, it's more so your body's just homeostasis is kicking in as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's also sending it back to that place because that's just the healthier. Your body, let's be honest, does not want to be overextended that heavy. So it's going to, especially when you stop drinking, overeating, whatever you're doing, it's going to come off. And people that are 150 pounds, a pound a week is like incredible.
Yes.
That's all I was trying to tell everyone. I can't agree, GRC, but I'm a different animal. I'm a hermit and I love my isolation. I live in the woods. Well, yes, I mean, T-bird. We're not all T-birds, okay? But I know what you're saying. Raise mic gain 2 notches up. Raise GRC mic gain 2 notches up.
Thanks for the reminder.
To be honest, I don't know how to change my mic gain.
Your mic gain is good.
Bullish, do you think my mic is good? Somebody said your mic is bad. Do you have your mic plugged in?
Yes, I just keep mine plugged in all the time. But it was sitting on the other side of the desk, and I just pulled it over here. So
okay, yeah, that's why probably. Okay, so we're all good. Let us know how everything's going. We ain't even Goblin Town yet. Stay strong, fam. Crypto Curricula. I watched your stream yesterday with Corey Costa, and it was absolutely incredible. Really enjoyed that. It made doing my lawn work absolutely amazing. Your brain works fabulously. Love it. So let's talk about these stats real quick, Sam.
77 cents, right? So we wanted to pull up this chart here to see what's actually going on. We have a kind of a record though for at least the recent past of 7.5 cents in Hex, and a lot of people are whining, and I'm excited. So you want to talk about this?
So what about you, Sam? What do you feel about it? As someone who hasn't invested a lot into Hex, you're new in here. You're checking stuff out. You're playing around, having a good time. You see all these people freaking out. You understand why they're freaking out. You wouldn't wish ill negative funds on anyone, of course. But Sam, is it fair to say that people aren't researching? They're not digging in. 85% cycle. How long is it going to? I mean, 85% dip. 4-year Bitcoin cycles. How long is it going to take people to find that out, Sam?
Yes.
I mean,
don't
like,
know.
what the fuck, Sam? I don't get it, dude.
What is a 90% drip from 56 cents drop? Let's see.
Like roughly where we're at, ish.
5.5 cents.
Yeah.
5.5 cents. Okay, cool.
So that would be normal. That would be normal. Literally, there's been 150 times where Richard Hart said this will occur again and again and again, and it's already happened 11 times. So open your mind a little bit, guys. The value proposition of Hex is trustless software that gives you free money. Rich people like that shit. Okay? Doesn't matter what me and Sam think. Rich people need to partner shit. And I'm talking rich people, like people that are like, I need to figure out what to do with my money, so I got to hire someone to do it.
That's their job, is to take care of it.
Right. So we're talking about trustless, immutable yield. Only imagine if real smart people with real money get a hold of this information. Russell Brand, people like this, people that have spoken out and said they are freedom fighters to the public and have proven that they aren't going to go with the media sentiment. If we can get a hold of these guys with 10 million, 5 million, 2.5 million, show them the software, show them the value proposition, let them understand what this really means. I'm telling you, you don't need to bribe. You don't need to do anything. You just need to show them. You need to teach them. Teach people that know about life, people that can change lives. Teach leaders. I wanted to teach Sam about Hex because he's a leader, and I want more leaders. I'll tell other people about Hex too, but I don't really care about all of them that much because we need this to work because this is the best software. That's what other crypto people are saying. We need this to work. This is immutable software. We need this to be the future because it's safer, Sam.
It is safer. And when you look at history and use legacy, right? Because that's what we had before crypto. We had the stock market that would drop, say, somewhere between 20 and 50%, every once in a while. And you know what happened? Every single time there was a big drop in the stock market and everybody's crying and the fake news is jamming in your face that you should sell and take your profit or take your money off the table or whatever the case is. And mainstream financial news is telling you similar things, that you should invest into this, that, and everything, and fear mongering. Every single time the market has come back. Could this, it's just, we already understand that this type of action happens in crypto. And if you layer that on top of what we know takes place with equity, which is stocks, we know that there's a decent probability that this is not the end of the world. The sun is going to come up tomorrow, right? And so if you believe the sun is going to come up tomorrow, then this is just a moment in time. Continue to practice the mental peace that comes with knowing a better future is coming.
All right, I'm going to talk to the chat for a minute, and we're going to bounce back and forth with the chat for a minute. Sam, I'm going to go five minutes with the chat. Guys, everyone, smash the like, hit the subs if you haven't already. Let's see who's been in here. There was a popping amount of stuff even before I got in here, so let's go ahead and read it. I'm just going to read them. I'm going to move down. Hexagon Papa, the first in here with the biceps. Thank you, Hexagon Papa has been supporting me literally since my first stream. Seriously. biceps in the chat.
He's making
for
progress
Hexy
with his
and Bob.
fitness stuff too, I think.
Super Sin, I know you're falling in love with the show. You can't seem to keep your biceps out of the chat. Interesting enough. I love to see new people. Dixon Cider, if you are the person that I think you are you the same guy with the Dixon Piper on Twitter? I'm trying to have you on the show as fast as possible with swift speed. I'd love to have you on this show. Super Sin, and you don't have to dox yourself. Oh no, but if you're the person I think you are, then you are on with Motley. Crypto King, check your telly. I already did. I got you back on that. Good to see you. GRC, it's kind of you that you want to be transparent. Great respect. It's not kind of me. It's smart of me. Switch that word. Put the kind away, because I don't really care about being kind all that much, to be honest. Like, I care about being effective. And when I'm effective, people like me more because it's effective. Gen Hex. How many people you think love BitBoy? Like when they go, they're like, man, I'm so inspired by BitBoy to be like the best man I can be. Like, no, he's fat, he's a loser, and he gets paid $1,200 an episode to sell his soul. Gen Hex, GRC, good day, sir. Great to see you. Can't wait to have you on the show this weekend. I'm trying to hope you get on Sunday, maybe. We have Gunther coming on. I don't know anything about Gunther other than it says OA audit. Did he do the OA audit? Guys, please, because I know you guys know who he is. I just don't know who he is because I haven't been around. He was the most requested person to come on this show, which is weird because he must not be online a lot. I love that. That means he's probably like, and people are like, are you talking about the accountant Gunther? Like it's like a hysterical guy. And he's coming on Thursday, Sam. Thursday he's coming on. And we're gonna get into the weeds. I need you stimulated for that episode, Sam. That's gonna be more you and him and me moderating, because you guys just need. I want to know what y'all know, and if he knows really about these audit processes, we need to know that, Sam, because there could be alpha in there that like people don't know shit about.
And 100% there is.
You know that. Yeah, we know that. We just don't know what it is. I think RH has a debate tonight. Is that definite? Yeah, but I don't think it's live, and I don't think we're going to get to see it. It's like a debate with somebody for a movie behind. It's, you know what? This is probably like for the movie drama.
So could be scripted.
So Sean, who's always in Twitter Spaces, he's actually driving there right now.
Sean,
he's always in the Twitter Spaces.
You're saying he's driving to the event?
Yeah, he's driving to the event right now. So
so sick, by the way.
If he gets in, he's gonna stream it from his phone.
Dope.
Through Telegram, and then through Telegram, Famous is gonna rebroadcast it to YouTube and Twitter.
Great.
So thank you.
Incredible.
I might be 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, if there is a good stream of that, I will stream that shit. Like I really will, because I want. Well, we'll see. We'll look into that. Rearing the end of the show. Bit Finesse, great to see you in here. David James, good to see you. Biceps in the chat. Monica Mofit Meals, amazing to see your beautiful smile as always. Thank you for everything you do. Rampfish Crypto, by the way, I don't know if I see you in here too often, but I always mention that I do love your profile picture with the show.
That is a definite, by the way, and we just both said it is going to be at 1 p.m. Central and 2 p.m. EST.
Fibonacci, Mr. Fibonacci himself, Crypto Gains Club. Great to see you in here. Mudhog, Hex Fam, good all day. Love positive Hex Fammers in a bear market because you just know they're just 10xing their money. Every dollar you put into Hex right now, you might as well just put a 10x on it, which is nice. That's what Wendy's told me. He's like, I remember when I was working nursing and we did an 80% dip, and I was like, I think every dollar I put in here will be like $5.
Wait until we get into the return data.
Oh my God, you have a lot of data for us, don't you?
I do. This is going to be good stuff.
PVM Crypto, the great shakeout. Love shaking out these weak, paper-handed, mindless plebs. Get them out of here. This is a vetting process, Sam. It's a vetting process. Only the real investors. Guess who else has hex bags? Fucking Kawasaki and all them have hex bags. I wonder why. Because they want to make sure that they have a little piece of this shit, because they know that it's probably going to work. GRC, your late boss, not going to be happy. I know my boss is pissed at me every single day when I wake up and I just fart and I just go back to bed. PVM, Space Case, big, great day to be in crypto. Great day to be alive. GRC, wow. That is the attitude that we like up in here. Biceps, rockets, fire in the chat. Space Case, thank you for being a role model to all these plebs. The Amish kid, being rich is hard, being broke is hard. Make the choice. Literally true. That is so true. That is so true. It's like drinking every weekend and having a social life is hard, and having a business and making a lot of money is hard. They're both hard. Pick your side.
Yes, 100%. That's
Crazy
100%
stuff,
true.
man.
Yes.
Erica, do you know about this guy by now a little bit? So Eric is the guy he's debating, and he had this huge bullish. Whenever you have a second, you don't have to do it right the second. There's a Twitter thread from Erica Wall. His name's Eric Wall, but he switched his name to Erica Wall for some reason. And he basically shits on Hex. And he was day one shitting on Hex and did 10,000X right in his face, and he's still shitting on it.
There's a lot of those. I know there's one recent. So if anyone in the chat can drop that link, I'll pull it up.
It went nuclear. All I know is this thing went nuclear online, and it was, but Orca was breaking it down yesterday on Corey Costa's stream. So I want to show people just a little bit, just since that stream is coming up. But in the interim, while we're waiting for that, if anyone in the chat could help me on that optimal timeline, crypto games, but people have to stake long and big, stake long and fat is what we like to call it over here at the GRC Club. Terrafin, always great to see you, brother. DCR, cool ass name and cool ass picture. Scott, OGs did their time and went through same shit. Hex newbies will be the same shoes. Man, if people look back at this and we're like, man, what a rough time, I'm gonna be like, you guys suck. Like, come on, man. People used to get their heads cut off in front of their families. Like,
yeah, people used to have to like hunt for food.
They're like, oh, they're stoning mom today. They think she's a witch. You know what I mean? Like,
people get so uptight about like bullshit that doesn't matter. Oh man, I got oat milk instead of fucking almond milk in my latte for $7.
Imagine how many people are pissed 2 days, Sam, because they get fresh food from the grocery store delivered to them. You know, a lot of people do that now, and they get one of the things wrong, and then that's the thing that ruins their next 3 hours. Like one little cheese, like instead of low fat cream cheese, it'll be whatever, blueberry cream cheese, and in that they will let that ruin them because that's the only way they know how to survive.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, dude. It's
right?
Like it's crazy.
You just said people were getting hung, right? That was a real thing in the past.
No, that's happening right now. There's probably little kids getting their feet cut off somewhere.
And you're right. People will get like they'll get food ordered from the store and
look at this shit, dude. I don't even have fucking shit. I don't even have like you don't need anything. Like stop thinking so hard. Start thinking for yourself. Be smarter. Be calmer. You know, like every move that I make in my life is to situate my life in the best way possible, not to put myself into the hardest spot by drinking, getting excess body fat, not taking care of my appearance. Those are all things that make your life easier and better. What doesn't? Drinking, doing stupid shit all day that makes you fat and makes you feel like crap, eating carbs all day, not having the social, not telling your girlfriend how you feel or whatever, the person that you're talking to, like connecting with them literally. Like those are the things that you should be wanting to do. Like literally what I've been trying to work on, Sam, is like, I want to make sure that like because you know, I've been talking to my I saw my ex-girlfriend at the gym and she was basically just like, you treated me not that well. And if you will treat me the way I want to be treated, like we can talk about it sometime, I guess. So that's basically what she said. And I've been thinking not about, you know, about everything, about the way I treat people, you know, all that shit. Like that's important to me. It's not about her. Like it is about her, but like, you know, I could never see her.
It could go on, but it's about you taking the learning.
I need to be here for. She's right. She's right. It's just it's not about me. She said, this is what I want and this is what I'm gonna do. And she was like, and if you don't like that shit, then it just is what it is. So like I'm just trying to learn, like, what do I want? What, you know, like you have to learn how to really have respect for yourself. You have to have respect for yourself. This isn't about her. This isn't about me feeling like crap. None of that. I don't care that like that. It's about me living the most beautiful way that I can because I don't know why. That's just the way I want to do it. Let's talk about this thing right here real quick. This is one of my favorites in the world. This chart is amazing. Is there any way you can zoom in on the
chart?
Just because this one's real tight with the.
So where in this chart has a 67% dip not been a wonderful opportunity? And then can you click on that chart, Bullish?
let it. He's got to probably undo the tab and
redo it or something.
But yeah, so Sam, basically that when he pulls this back up, that highlights.
There we go.
There it is. So that highlights all the dips, the major dips in Hex. And if you look, hold on, I gotta zoom my screen in because I'm just. Did they update?
Okay, so in the bottom left corner we have 81% dip, and that was. It doesn't say the date, but it was in early 2020. And then there was another dip that was 65% several months later. Like, you know, have you ever heard the saying, buy the dip, right? Like if you believe in something, do you want to buy it at like a higher price or do you want to buy it at a lower price? People tend to prefer to buy at a lower price. One way you can avoid all this is just by DCA, like dollar cost averaging. So take a certain amount that you're comfortable with for whatever purpose and put that in every single month. $1,000, cool. $200, cool. $1,500, cool. Do whatever you're comfortable with, and you'll build something over time. Buying the dips, and these you actually buy more shares, right? You buy more Hex because the Hex price is 7 cents, right? What was it? 3 weeks ago? Was that 14.5 cents? So you're same dollar amount. You put in $1,000 every single month. What was it? 2-3 weeks ago? $1,000 at 14 cents. So $1,000 divided by 4. You'd buy 7,000 Hex, 7,142 Hex. Now, that same exact dollar amount, because the price is lower, actually gets you 14,200 Hex. So when you go through and your dollar cost average, you're able to effectively remove your emotions from it and just be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to continue buying. I understand this thing. I believe in this thing. If that's what you do, then just dollar cost averaging. You can get around these things and build a much bigger bag.
But why? But what do people complain about, Sam? Why, at the root of the complaining, what's really going on? No work, no money, no nothing. They just don't. They overextended themselves. Then they got butthurt because they didn't research. That's how you enter crypto, period. You don't. Some people do it with a lot of money. Some people do it with just a little. You know, like you buy, you have to buy at some point. What are you going to pin the bottom? You're not dip catcher.
No, you just say that again. Not necessarily the dip catcher, but that was just
you can't pin bottoms. Period. No
correct.
One can. Zero impossibility.
So what does that? What does that mean? To explain what that means.
You better buy at some point. You buy, and it's going to go down a little more.
So just continue to buy. You like crypto? Continue to buy.
I bought at 2 cents. I bought at 4 cents. I bought at 7 cents. I bought at 12 cents. I bought at 46 cents. I bought at 27 cents. I bought it all the way back down too. And I never once did I overextend myself. Ever. Never once did I not have 6 months of bills ready to go in some way, shape, or form. Like if I had to, you know what I mean? So I never felt like, oh my God, if this doesn't work out, like,
Eric.
So real quick, why Pulse Chain? I'm going to read this real quick and I'm going to comment on it. Why Pulse Chain is bad and why it will create a MEV supernova. Now, for everyone who doesn't know, Eric Wall is a person that is a professional in the industry. He has made more incorrect calls than any possible human could make in his life. He said,
"Did you say correct calls?"
No, incorrect.
Okay.
Every call this man makes will bring you to zero, pretty much. But he claimed he is a troll. That's all he does is troll. He sat down one-on-one in an interview with Richard Hart and told him Hex was the dumbest thing ever before it launched. And Richard was like, "You're dumb, dude. You don't know what you're talking about." It 10,000 decks in his face, and he's still talking. And he's the guy they're doing the interview with later.
Do you think he's a little butthurt, and that's why this comes
He's
out?
not butthurt. He's just a troll. He's doing the whole like Jenny thing, or like, you know, like they just don't care. They just stop caring at some point, and they're like, "This is my shtick for now," and everyone will forget about it because they're right. Everyone will forget about it.
Yes.
So Pulse Chain is one of the most anticipated L1 launches in 2022. Most people on CT don't know a lot about it because they've blocked our age, but the excitement amongst the lowest retail level bottom feeder YouTube class. A very think about what he's saying. Like, imagine if this man was in the same room as us saying this stuff. Imagine if I and you were looking at this man across the table and he called us bottom feeders. I'd be like, you are literally a bottom feeder, dude. Like, you are the definition of a bottom feeder. Literally the exact definition. someone who does clout, bullshit, no value, has no correct judgment. He makes bold calls, so he hopes that they're right, and they're always wrong because he never looks into it. He made it so you couldn't have any hex. If you were a fan of his, he told you it was the dumbest thing ever, and now he's telling you Pulse Chain's the dumbest thing ever. Right in your face. This dude deserves a freaking, if he's being serious, he might just be fucking around for the most part, which is fine. Like, I get it. Troll accounts. But I would put an elbow so deep into this dude's orbital bone. Like, he would never speak again. Like, he wouldn't. He wouldn't even be able to talk.
Oh, man. There's so many people like
I
that.
don't like this shit, though. I don't like, it seems like it'll never stop, Sam.
It's not going to.
I know.
Because if there's gonna this Eric person goes away, there's gonna be somebody else who does the same thing because they're just trying to cloud chase, right? They're trying.
Well, there's
to
value there.
Correct.
What do we know about value, Sam? People find it, and if someone's not there, somebody will fill the role. And just like Hex, like people are selling. Like there's guys there that want this. Period.
Yes, and we're gonna
rich guys too. I know guys with $500,000 fucking ready to pop. That doesn't mean they'll do it, but I'm saying like they're ready. Like,
do you know how many people I talked to, like Eric, when I was following Tesla? I'm following Tesla. I understand what is going on.
Talk about that. I want you to talk about that. I don't fucking know. I don't know shit about Tesla. So tell me, public sentiment, average person. What were you hearing?
So I was following Tesla from the beginning, so 2009-ish, 2010-ish, and you would have people on mainstream financial media, which are just as clueless as just mainstream media, talking about stuff that they know nothing about and just spreading misinformation. And you would have these clowns come on television like this person, right? Like this dude here, Eric, whatever, who would come on and just say stuff that if anybody checks their track record, it's completely freaking wrong. It's completely wrong. I talked to so many people. You're muted. I talked to so many people who would say, oh, Tesla's going bankrupt. And they don't understand what's fundamentally actually happening. Hey, Tesla's burning through too much cash. They don't realize that they're actually reinvesting. And they've made a tremendous amount of progress. They've been able to double their production in like 6 or 12 months. They've quadrupled their production. They don't understand because they don't see what's actually going on because they're blinded by this. They're addicted to the bullshit. They're addicted to just putting out garbage because there's a certain portion of the population that is addicted to just pay attention to trash, right? We talked about that earlier. You're muted.
But you got to think they're feeding to people that don't have a chance. So it's like they know the way you feel. They know the way you think. They know how to lay up you into trash because they know what you're capable of doing, nothing. And Sam, it's just the way it is. I can't say it any other way. They know what the average user is capable of, nothing. They know what they want to do, nothing. They know how they want to earn it with no work. So they feed that. They just give you the narrative that you want, and you get the average result, and you just top it up to the game. And then you do it again.
Think about when you go through an edit film, if this guy's doing this interview, whatever you want to call it, debate for the movie, when you go through and edit something and you don't realize that literally, well, we see it on mainstream TV, right? But you can take any type of footage, the exact same footage I have, and you can tell a completely different story than I tell with exactly the same footage. So they can make this guy look like a complete and utter like schmuck coming into if he's going to be in the documentary. Like just make him look.
Nobody again, like guys like this, like their name holds no weight because no one actually knows who they are. It's like they're like people know our age. Like if we all went there, we'd be like, all right, what the fuck? Like this is cool. Like how you doing? Like I love your streams. We've communicated so much online. Like incredible. With him, it's just all like it's just doesn't hold any weight, right? So these guys, they leverage themselves. They put themselves in the corner of the internet where nothing has weight. There is no transparency. And then that's where they feed off of the vulnerable people, just like the paid groups, the overexpensive paid groups. It's the same thing they do. Why don't they advertise it to every Hexagon front page? Because they don't want to advertise to educated people because they'll get slaughtered and people will call them out. But it's not illegal. So they just roll off to the internet where people don't know shit.
Yes. I agree with Crypto Bigfoot here.
This stream deserves to be on the documentary. I absolutely agree with that. Take the Saudis out, put GRC in.
Yes. So
no, but Sam, I want you to bring up. I want to switch it up, and I want you to go into some of your research. I'm going to have to use the bathroom really quick, but I want to know. I'm going to let you present your research. I'm going to come back, ask you a couple questions about it, and I want
to cover like the black hole that Crypto Sloth and I were talking about last night in regards to Hex being a black hole. There's a lot of people who believe that Hex is a store of wealth, right? It is the definition for a lot of people in terms of store of wealth. So let's take a look at this and just see what that means to describe this. Whoops. So this is Investopedia, right? Store of wealth. A store of value is an asset, commodity, or currency that maintains its value without depreciating, right? There's a lot of people who believe that Hex is the ultimate store of value, or that Hex is the store of value in crypto terms. And well, when Crypto Sloth was actually describing this idea that Hex is kind of going to suck in funds from other layer ones, other crypto projects, as it becomes bigger, people are going to be pouring their money into Hex as a store of value. It reminded me of the stock market and real estate. So in legacy, people who create excess cash flow will put that into the stock market and or real estate and or a business, right? So from a store of value standpoint, real estate or the stock market for a bunch of people tends to be a great store of value in legacy. Now, in the crypto market, Hex could be that thing, right? BTC seems to be it right now in terms of the limelight, but excuse me, when it comes to like the longevity of what's playing out, Hex could be the real estate. Hex could be that stock market that just sucks in funds. When people have excess earnings, the excess cash flow that they have every single month, they're just going to be putting into something that they believe in is going to hold the value for them, independent of 90% dips in the price. And I thought that was such an interesting concept. Crypto curricula. I used to call Bitcoin a black hole where I would banish fiat currency. It's interesting because you think of like a black hole, right? And it just sucks in all the stuff. And Hex could be that. I want to ask you guys, do you think that there will be a version of Hex on every layer one? Right? We're going to have Hex on 2 layer ones, right? And there's Hex versions, probably other people that are going to be coming out of other, layer ones. There's also, I could see somebody just going through and copying Pulse, right, and forking Pulse, right, and coming out with everything that Pulse has, and another one that is faster and cheaper than Pulse down the road and has different features in a new version of like V2 Pulse, whether that's 12 months or 37 months or whatever the case is down the road, just like how we have Pulse as an iteration of Bitcoin, right? We went Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then we're like, oh, each one of those has their own benefits and value statements with it that helps the ecosystem. Bitcoin has theirs. Let's make it better. Let's make Ethereum. Okay, cool. But Ethereum has these things, but also has all these issues. Bitcoin has all these issues. Let's improve about those. And now we're going to have Pulse. Well, in some period of time in the future, somebody's going, oh, let's create another one, right? And we'll just copy, right? They see the framework of what was done, right? Pulse was, assuming Pulse is successful. Let's see, this was copied. Let's do another version. Maybe Richard Hart does another version of it. Who knows? But do you think Hex or a version of Hex is going to be on every layer one? I think it is. I think it is possible. And this morning, when I was actually doing research for a separate video, I came across trading volume for the NASDAQ. Let me see if I can pull this up here. So NASDAQ is a exchange here in the United States, but they also from my understanding, they license out kind of like their name and their software to run exchanges in other countries around the world. I think they may be in, if somebody knows better, over 50 different countries, and using the framework, the license from the NASDAQ to run it as like a NASDAQ exchange because they have that brand, right? So in this chart I'm about to show you, I don't know if this is the entirety of all of NASDAQ trading volume across all those 50 different countries, or if this is just in the United States. But look at this right here, right there in the center. It says dollar volume, $227 billion. So this is on May 23rd, right? You can see May 2022, right below that. There was 300 billion in that day. Now, when we look at crypto, if you guys had to guess before I pull it up, how much trading volume do you think happens in crypto on a daily basis? Leave it in the comments. We'll just play the song. Do, 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 do. That number is just about the same as this. And I saw that this morning and I found that super interesting. GRC, you saw this as well. Did you believe that the trading volume in crypto was going to be anywhere near what it was in the NASDAQ?
Well, I don't know how to interpret trading volume.
Just,
like I would immediately have to like think about the website and then look into the website and then see how they calculate it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't think they were anywhere fucking near each other.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap.
I would think it would be like 5 times, 10 times more. But I wouldn't know, right? So again, but like just off the top, people really thought I was fudding when I straight up said multiple times that I have limit orders set at 4 cents. Crypto Curricula, if you want to come on the show right now and talk, I would be absolutely honored. I'm absolutely in love with you.
Yes, come on, my brother.
I'm in love. I love your brain.
you're paid shill.
I know why people go gay now. It's the brain. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's been great. It's been great listening to Orca jump on all these shows and just freaking dominate. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I've got one more thing to show you if Orca decides to come on. And this is ADA, ETH, Solana, and BNB in terms of what did they do? How did they return in terms of X's per year, right? So I ran these, can you see this okay? I ran these numbers this morning. So we have ETH start, this is the start price. So this is the start price at launch for each one of these layer ones here. And obviously they launched at different dates.
Be interesting to, so after we talk about this, maybe we should pick 2 of them, jump to the date and see what the market was doing at the time.
Yes. Okay. So 365 days later, this is the price for each respective coin. That means there was a 40x return for ETH, a 2x for ADA. Look at this, 139. 139.
Yeah, we were all paying attention when that shit launched too. I didn't.
What do you? If you look at these, how I see it, and I don't know for sure, but I see that Pulse is kind of these two in a certain way, right? Because Solana is a little bit different because they use a different consensus network. It is fast, it is cheap, right? But it's a little bit different. Where BNB is very cheap and fast, right? They have a 3-second time, just like Pulse. They also are very, very cheap, right? Well, they don't have all the ERCs, right? So we have Pulse, which is kind of going to be like ETH in the sense that every ERC20 is copied over, but it's also going to kind of be like BNB, where it's super fast and super cheap. So you're taking both of those things together.
And you're going to have NFT platforms that are affordable.
Yeah. So we're basically going to combine the 3 of these in the sense.
No. And then you add the marketing power of ADA, like Charles Hoskinson, so on top of all this guy, who's the most fearless leader out of these 5? Who would win in a debate on these 5? If Hex was on here, if Pulse was on here, I'd be voting on Richard to succeed long term.
So I took the same exact thing. So this is the X's per year. So this would be year 1 here, this would be year 2, and then this would be year 3 in each respective project.
Ace the alien. No, he's not as of right now, but we will keep you up to date on that. There's guys that are trying to get in there and set up some streaming stuff.
And if you're on the East Coast, hopefully that will become. Hopefully somebody can get it for 2:00. So,
oh yeah,
if you put in $10,000 investment into Pulse, 1 year later, if it had returns like any of these 4 projects, even at ADA, you'd have a triple in a year. And so if I was like, hey, I tripled, and that was the poorest one, right?
S7 on May 1st, the fitness challenge was closed. So we'll let you know when the next one's coming up. But for now, we're closed on that.
There'll probably be potentially one later in the summertime.
We'll bring that up.
So even a triple, if I told somebody in Legacy that I had a triple in a year, that's a crazy return. And that's the worst performing layer 1, a triple in a 1 year time frame. Look at ETH or Solana in a 1 year time frame on a $10,000 investment, $400,000. $400,000. If on BNB, on BNB, 1.4 million. This is crazy. Look what happens after 3 years. Not much. It's not much changes for Solana. I'm sorry, for ADA. Do you see that? 37 after 3 years. You made all your returns in year 1, and then it just kind of stagnated. You did.
Well, yeah, for sure. You got to look at. There's lots to look at, and you got to look at where the market was, Sam, because you could launch a poop token at the bottom of a bull market, and it's going to pump unbelievably. So it's different. If something has product market fit and it launches in a bull market, then it's really good. I mean, in a bear market, then it's really good. But if something's crap, not fun to launch in a bear market. No one wants to buy that shit.
Dude,
so it's funny. So it looks like Eric. It's my bad.
You want to read this?
Real quick. Not sure if this was mentioned while I was driving, but did you catch the Dev Kyle Eric Wall interview last year? Worth a watch if you haven't. Easily top 5 fave hex streams. Wow, I might have to pull that up right now. We can look into that for a second. Wow, top 5 camera guy. Wow,
I've never seen that. That would be a good one.
I'll pull it up and get the link to. So we have follow Twitter Abramson Sean. He's a Hexican that will be in attendance. Oh yeah, everyone follow that guy right now. That's a great job.
Thank you. Can you share that on my channel as well? Bullish, please, sir.
Oh, they changed they changed some of the YouTube format for when you're live streaming. There's a little live like red ticker below it now.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's kind of cool. They did that.
Yeah, guys, smash the like. We're at 80 likes. Let's get to 100 likes real quick. Let me pull up. Let me make sure that I got this guy followed because I need to have him on tap. I'm a producer over here. I mean, I'm a what's it called? Journalist.
Are you gonna be pulling up?
Oh, dude, this dude's lit. I always forget. I see his face and now I know. Dude, this dude's lit. I hope that would be sick if he got in there, dude. Put your noties on for this guy, guys.
And he drove like about I think it was like 2-3 hours just to get there. So like he's really
give him a follow.
Way. He set it all up with Famous. Again, he's gonna, as long as he's able and they don't give him any issues, he's either gonna stream video or audio through Telegram, and then it's gonna be rebroadcast through YouTube and Twitter. So just follow him for updates, because Richard should be doing this debate in about an hour.
Wow,
this is insane, guys.
I'm sorry, about 2 hours my time, but
yeah. Eric and Kyle make a podcast. Oh, this is 3.
I'm full faith.
Wow.
Is there? All right, go ahead, Sam.
This is just interesting. The ruble, the Russian currency is the chart on there. I have to dive into it deeper, but I'm looking at this and it's fascinating. Pull this up. I haven't shown this before, but I just saw this on that guy's thing, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So this is the USD ruble, right? $1 is currently 56 ruble. The chart just looks interesting here, and I had to dive more into it. Right, this was when they started, and it dropped in value, but it looks like it strengthened a lot in value during that time, which is interesting because that's not the story that I would think. That wouldn't be the intuition I would create around this, right? That's not something that I would think would be the case. And when he had posted that, the guy you had just shared his tweet of, the camera guy or whatever, I found that kind of interesting. But you were about to pull up the video.
Bullish, I popped a video into the private chat real quick, and here's this. This is the podcast. It's 3 hours and 14.
I have it loaded, but I just asked T-Bird if there was like a specific timestamp that would be useful because this is like a 4-hour long video. So
yeah, and but to precursor that, the YouTube video I popped in there, that's a 5-minute Eric Wall, Richard Hart video from back in the day. That'll give everyone some good context while we go into tonight to show you what kind of moron we're actually dealing with here. And it's not moron, it's more scum lord. Like so once he gets that video, it's a short little video, so it should load up pretty quick. But yeah, give Sean Abramson a follow. He deserves some love, and we want to see if we can get that.
So that slick back hair that's prime shit right there.
Yeah. All right. Let's we don't hear about China making backdoor deals with Russian energy in exchange for military alignment. Oh, Jesus Lord. Have mercy.
That's
have
a
mercy
chart
on us. Great. Yeah, I cannot wait. Sam, we should both listen to that. Wow. We'll see. What kind of info is in that podcast? What do they talk about for the most part? I'm very curious because I want to make sure that it's something that I like. But let's play this video real quick. It's not too long, and I'll just let you know if I want to stop it and make a comment.
It's muted.
So it turns out that in crypto, you do not need to have utility. You do not need to have demand. You need to have a good story and good marketing.
Sorry, Rich, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Everyone in this hotel could have locks that don't work, and you wouldn't know because you're not actually testing them.
This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So how about this? What if you made a Ponzi, and what if you made a pump and dump, but you left out the dump?
Sorry, Rich, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Are you competing with every other hex user on the exact same rules? Do you have
here's the
edge
two
in the system that allows you to compete?
I won't speak to me personally, but I'll speak to what you want to hear.
This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So what's cool about
all right, I didn't know
Bitcoin,
this video was edited like this.
Yeah, but see, it's so misleading to tell.
I didn't know that. I didn't know the video was edited like to just have. But that's basically. But when they were talking, Richard was just telling him exactly what he thought about everything, like in a nice, open-minded ish way, a little aggressive, but just like he's talking about his shit. And this guy just basically didn't critically think about any of it. He just wanted to have a strong statement that he thought at the time would be true. Probably he thought Richard, and then he said, you know what, everyone will think I'm awesome because I mentioned the same thing. The guys that did the paid group with me, they were hoping that by just calling him out, they would gain credibility by doing nothing. Sam, they remember it always turns back to what do people do? They try to get value by giving nothing. And
when do these people learn? When do these people learn that by taking a moment to look through the other point of view at the table, you actually build more trust and you build more value with it? Like if you just write somebody off right away, like that in my mind says it's a negative thing in my point of view. If you were just like, oh, this is absolute truth, then I just know that you don't know what you're talking about, or you're very closed-minded, or you're trying to shill something. Pretty simple in my mind. Like doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be around that type of behavior, but when do people learn? When do people learn that that's not the best way to provide value? Like you know what I mean? How many times do you see this happen? How many times do you see this happen in the marketplace? When you have somebody go, this is the answer. If you guys listen to somebody and they're like, this is the only way, to do something, a lot of the times, they either don't know what they're talking about or they're trying to sell you something. One of those two things, right? It's not super complex. It doesn't build value for me.
It's not complex at all. It's like I look at a guy and I'm like, you got there's about 3 things that you could want in this world with starting this company. You want money, you want power. You don't always want money. Some people don't care as much about the actual dollar bill. They care more about the position they're in. And that's
Well, they probably already have the dollar at that point. But
or
yes,
even if they don't, like UFC fighters, like some UFC fighters would rather have 500,000 subscribers than have $500,000 because they know that they can extrapolate that over time. Where the UFC is not necessarily giving them $500,000, but they're giving them that platform where everyone follows them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like Dana's like, I don't need to give you that much because without me, you don't have this.
He's got the balls. Yes, no, correct.
He says it.
Correct. But that's what he created, right? He went through and created it.
He's the greatest CEO in sports history. Period. End of story.
Think of what he's literally done. He has created something that could potentially be more successful than like the NBA or the NFL in the long run, right? Because I personally think the NFL and the NBA are going to, you know what I mean? They're dying unless you get people in charge that have some type of like spine or backbone that like resonates with like the values of the vast majority of like a country where they get their revenue from. Like that shit's going down. You look at the viewership of I think it's the NFL over the last like decade and a half or something. It's been going down, right? Because people don't want
per person. Like
the total viewership of like a per game
overall. Yeah,
it's been going down.
Their portion of the pie has gone down.
Yeah, correct. And if they don't innovate and they don't change,
I've completely gone off of sports. As a sports fan, my whole entire life, I watch UFC fights for free on my computer. Other than that, and they're in like the middle of the night, so it never makes a big difference. Other than that, I know the NBA Finals is going on. I haven't watched 1 second of it. I know, there's never been a year that I don't think I have watched at least a lot of it, some of it, at least had it on. So this year I haven't even turned it on, and I didn't really decide to do that at any time. I just quit my job, and I was like, I got shit to do.
Right, and it's just more important shit.
I need to turn the TV on. I don't think the TV's been on since, to be honest.
And that do you see those two go like? Major league sports are potentially going to die in our lifetime.
I don't know if NFL will die or anything. Well, I think they might cancel them. Like if somebody dies in NFL, which will happen, it will happen. These guys are all doing steroids and they're very strong and they're running very fast. And neck injuries kill people. So once somebody dies, there'll be like endless riots until like it just splits up everything. But because they're very controlled by the liberal media, so they're all hand in hand. Like they need the liberal media, so they can't have anything happen to jeopardize that, because the liberal media is just most of people, right? Like the liberal media is just most of suckers. Let's be honest. Like liberal media is where the suckers go and breed, because they just lie to you about the truth. They would tell you people like me are evil.
Yes.
They would love everyone in that world would say, see, this is a bad man with horrible intentions, and he's evil, and he's egotistical, he's narcissistic, he's got problems. And I'm like, that sounds better to me than being a fucking loser.
I saw a comment from somebody, and I wanted to ask you this question to describe this for CryptoPen. What are the pump economics behind Hex? To try to distill this down, what are these for CryptoPen?
He asked, what are the pumpamentals of Hex?
Pump economics. So yeah, it kind of sounds like that.
Well, it depends which way you look at it. There's a lot. I mean, all right, so we break it down. Positive and negative externalities, right? There's positive externalities in every coin. There's the negative externalities in coins. So this time, let's look at the positives real quick. People don't sell Hex that much, because a lot of the liquid supply, a lot of the supply in the user's hands is staked. Why does a coin go up in price and not down? Because people buy it and they don't sell it. At the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1 ratio. Not 1-for-1 as far as the rate, but people buy more than they sell. It goes up more than it goes down over a long period of time. But Hex is inflationary, right? And I don't know how much CryptoPen knows, but 3.69% inflation is less than the actual inflation rate as far as this year, right, Sam?
Correct. You're absolutely correct.
So is that deflationary or inflationary? You tell me. I would say it's not necessarily inflationary or deflationary if you wanted to bring it all the way to spreadsheet level. You know what I mean?
Actually happening, yeah.
Right, but no, okay, but let's talk about overarching themes that make no difference, right? Like it's never, if you look at put a chart up of every deflationary coin, and I'll show you a chart full of coins that went to zero. There'll be a couple that didn't, of course, only the good ones. So it's never about that. But yes, in general, there's more positive price pressure in Hex for one of the reasons, the main reason in my perspective is the state of the art before its time immutable staking mechanism.
Which causes people to pull stuff off of the market. Is there a chart that was good? That was good, dude. Is there a chart that shows the amount of liquid Hex excluding the OA address over time?
Let's try it. Let's go to Hex.vision.
Pull that up real quick.
We're getting better with Hex.vision, guys. So we're going to be visiting that. And then, so you want to know of all the liquid Hex in regular users' hands, like
yes,
how
and see how much of that is liquid, like on exchanges or whatever. Because I want to understand if like the depth of it has grown over time as we've, it's coming up on 2.5 years at this point, just over 2.5 years. So during that time, has the amount of liquidity actually increased?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's another way you think that might be better to take a look at that, let me know. Because I'm not sure. I'm pulling up the Hex.vision site right now.
I'm pulling it up too, just to take a peek at it. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen yet. I'm just going to click around for a second. I want to see. So here we have cumulative sum of stake Hex shares, moving average of sum stakes. That's 15 years. This is a very intricate website.
Yes. Does anybody know if there is, and if you look over the last month or two, the average number of stakers has actually decreased as a percentage of the total.
Wow. What's up, guys? So, okay, go ahead. Say that one more time.
If you're looking at Hex.vision and you look over the last 2 months or so, the number of people who are staking as a percentage of the total, it has decreased. We were at 9.6% of total supply, and now we are 9.3. So it has come down from 9.6 to 9.3 percentage of the total supply that has staked.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that. I wonder what it was at the top. That would have been interesting to see at the top, right, Sam?
Like in terms of
like at the tippy top of the price chart to see what the percentage was. Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, it's within a year.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think it's probably right on the end of that.
Okay, so this is, when was the peak in the price of Hex?
I'll tell you right now.
We can pull it up on.
I can pull it up because I'm just going to look at it. I'm not going to pull it up.
Yeah.
I got it right here. We were at the top, would have been 18 September 21.
September 18, 2021. That would have been here. It was 9.9 at the top. So from 9.9, you can see that it's been trending down since then. So,
and I think that would make sense, right, Sam? Because everyone unstakes their shit
as the market's declining, and they don't.
Yeah, like if you look at the amount of nuked Hex in stakes, and where does all that Hex go, Sam? The staker class. So you got to remember, there's some pumpamentals within that as well. Because this makes the perfect sense to me. I mean, it slowly has declined because people are slowly trying to get more value out of the system before it goes to where we're at. We're a pinch point, right? Like it could go up or down. You never know. But like, it's a pinch point right now. People are running out of their bags, but we have those stakes coming out, Sam. Remember those stakes, Sam?
Yeah, from yesterday or 2 days ago. Yes.
Well, I've been trying to learn about them, but I haven't necessarily learned it yet. Like, I don't know. I still don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
No, I haven't had a chance to actually get in here and take a look at those things either. Oh, here, this is it. I don't want to pull this. We don't have to get into here.
Yeah, just because I feel like there's interpretations to this chart that I wouldn't understand anyway, right off the bat. So we'll get someone on when we have Gunther coming on Thursday, so we'll see what we can pick out of his brain. When it comes to those hex stake coming out, Sam, do you remember the number roughly?
In terms of the number of shares?
Oh, no, like remember you said the amount of available hex that was coming out of those.
So it says stakes expiring on May 28th. On May 28th, it says hex stakes expiring is 3.96 billion hex. 3.96 billion hex.
And can we look? So does it have the address? Or it's probably majorly one address.
But that's the thing that I was confusing because the chart has different data on it here yet. So let me pull this down and I'll try to pull it up while you finish talking. Customize time range. I'll pull up the last couple of days here and update to see.
Yes, because I mean we got to know these numbers. This is important to see, guys, while you go. Like you got to understand these kind of concepts because this is what the guys in Hex do. They look at these stakes. They look at the time of everything. It's important to understand how to interpret some of the potentials that could come in the future. But Sam, just as misleading as thinking that big stake will nuke the price, all we have to do is go back one more click to the address that it's on, right? And what if the address has never sold? Would that make you think that it might not sell? Wouldn't it? A little bit?
But I think it's the aggregation of a bunch of addresses.
But you can assume with that much mass that it's a big boy.
I agree.
Yeah, there's 90% of that is one guy, if not 99%.
How do I pull this one stake up? Because I'm still trying to figure this out.
Is there anyone in the chat that has a setup and can help us work through some of this stuff? If there's anyone in the chat that could come on and help us work through some of this hex.vision stuff, that's really all. Me and Sam just want to learn hex.vision. I just haven't taken the time to look at it, to be honest. But it's look at the website, for God's sakes. It's a beautiful website. I'm sure once you can interpret that, Sam, that's gems all day long in there.
Yes. Completely agree. I'm trying to figure out how to do
that breakdown looks rough.
Custom range this week. Let's see. So 26th, 27th. Okay. So here, let me share this one again. I pulled this up here. So I've changed the time range, and this is what doesn't make sense, right?
So where did you change the time range to what?
Just
this
over
week.
This week.
Okay, gotcha.
So because the 28th is 4 days away.
Okay, gotcha.
But remember how on the other chart it just said 4 billion hex, nearly all for one day on the 28th of May? Check this out. Say this is just literally a different view, and it says 238 million hex.
Maybe on that chart, it says that's such a smaller number.
Correct. Like
we must be reading the other number wrong on the other chart.
So let's go back. Let's go back to the previous page, and I'll show you. Because
maybe it's saying like of the total supply or something. I just want to look one more time to see.
Yep.
Because that would be close to the total supply, Sam. So it doesn't make sense.
What is the total supply of hex?
Or it's like 53 billion staked hex or something.
Okay,
or that's what we read earlier, remember? I think.
I'm letting that load real quick.
Yeah. So remember earlier we were talking about what was that one website? Fuck, I can't remember.
The one for Etherscan stuff?
No, the one I could probably just go back and see it here.
That was also an interesting website. Okay. Let's see here. So I've got this back up here. Let me go.
It's the accumulated amount. So I lost a bunch of my money in Wonderland time. It was a DAO that had a rebasing. After a while, whales started to realize they could do something called 9-9. Is there any whales that could do this to Hex? What does 9-9 mean? I'm gonna have to give me a definition of 9-9, but I'm assuming you just mean like having so much of the supply. But the OA addresses have 88% of the supply. So, and they have proven always to be, not selling. So that's basically what we go off of.
Yeah, there has to be something that I'm just not understanding about how this chart works. Because
Yeah.
if you go to the 1 month here, the number's different again. So
Let me see.
maybe it's the accumulation.
No, that's the accumulation of all hex stakes that have expired.
Why is this number lower then? It should
Which
be
one?
higher, right? So I'm just looking at over the last 30 days. The number here would be all if somebody said this is the aggregation of hex stakes in this time frame. So we were just looking at 7 days. So if you look at 7 days, it said 200 million hex stakes have expired in the last 7 days, right? Now we're looking at 30 days and the numbers dropped. I need to dig a lot more into this site because it just is not making any freaking sense to me.
That's all right. No worries. So, hexes broke to the downside. Let's talk about the overall market. Go to Nomics real quick. Just nomics.com front page.
For hex?
Just everything. I want to just see everything. So we can observe Bitcoin a little bit too. All right. So 29K, 29.5 down 2.1 on the daily. We got ETH at 19.75 down 4% on the daily. Wow. That sucks. Go down a little more, please. And then we have Hex at 7.8 down 13%. It's so interesting, Sam. To watch a full bear market and a full bull market, it almost blows your mind. Like to know the economic mass that was zooming around these assets when I was just staring at them last year.
Yes.
Sam, it's like, what the frick?
Look at this, though. This is a pretty decent. You know what I mean?
People could have legit sold at the top. Like people need to understand this stuff. People need to understand how to protect themselves long term. You have to be able to take profits. You have to be able to do these things in a calculated and smart way, but it takes all your effort. You have to learn. And this is a lot to learn. It's just like it's about finance. It's about geoeconomics. It's about political. It's about politics. It's about health. It's about mental health. It's like it's a frigging guys. This is like the reason me and Sam I think are going to succeed in this is because this combines everything into one. It's like we're freedom fighting and making finances at the same time.
It's exciting. It's super exciting time.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing anything else, dude. Like, I swear, like, imagine making fitness content all day, every day, and that's all you did. You would be like, man, I'm missing something, dude. Like this crypto shit, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I would just be like, man, like, what am I gonna learn about fitness right now? Like, crypto's like about to go parabolic, like literally. Except there's always nuanced stuff to learn in fitness, of course, and there's always. But we've researched a lot of that stuff. But I mean, in general, it's like as men in entrepreneurial age range, like how do you not get in on this?
No, I don't understand that. There's
13 years we missed this shit, Sam. We fucked up.
Bro, did you see my tweet the other day?
Dude, I can't believe I fucked up. I should have known about this shit, bro.
2002, I got my first in 2013. I sent an email to somebody. In 2014. Hey, I've been researching Bitcoin. I posted it on Twitter the other day. I sent that email in 2014. I don't even remember. I remember like kind of slightly maybe potentially looking into it, but no idea. Like I didn't get into it. Imagine getting into Bitcoin in 2014 and just holding that. Like investing $25 a month, you'd be multimillionaire today. $25 a month. $25 a month, bro. Like how many $25 have you wasted on dumb shit? When you go out to an expensive club and it's $25 a drink, right? Like I've been to clubs where it's $25 a drink. That's stupid. It's stupid, right? It's just dumb. They go to certain cities and it's $20 to $30 a drink.
They're just feeding off of you being in like an experiential moment, like because like
yes.
People be chilling all day and then they're like, oh, let me do this one thing. Stupid.
Yes, and imagine $25 a month for a number of years, you'd be done in terms of
you'd be done.
Financial freedom.
All these Nigerian fake bot accounts that say they're broke and they need money. I'm like, dude, you got $25? I'm like, literally, I'm like, I'll hassle the guys. I'll be like, dude, trust me, if you invest in what I invest in, you'd be straight. I'm like haggling like a homeless dude. I'm like, dude, I guarantee, dude, I guarantee the homeless guy on the corner who's not paying taxes could freaking retire pretty darn quick if he put all his stuff into Hex and Pulse Chain.
I had a question that I wanted to actually ask you, or actually the people in the comments, to know if they understood this. I have not taken the time to actually research in this yet. AMM market maker, there's 3 different modes: constant sum market maker, CSMM, constant mean market maker, CMMM, and mixed constant function market maker. Somebody was talking to me about that in the DMs, and I had no idea what she was talking about. And I was like, that is something that I need to look into. I appreciate you telling me about this stuff so that I can look into it. I'm going to mention it here. So if you guys know about anything that I just mentioned, there's those 3 different types of automated market makers: the CSMM, the constant sum market maker, the constant mean market maker, and the mixed constant function market maker. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm curious to learn more about this because I know nothing about those things. And I'm curious to know, is it something that is valuable? And I'd like to learn more about those.
Yeah, so the guy's asking about the rate. So yeah, one of the guys is working through Hex in the comments. It's great to see.
Who is that?
Crypto Pen. He's been working through some of this stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
Basically, he's wondering, like, can rich people short-term stake? And then I said yes, and they do that all the time. And then he said so, and then I told him that the rate ratchets up. So when these stakes come out, they make it so that you cannot stake again and get the same T-share rate automatically in the code. So it finds the highest stake APY, and if you restake it, it will have to automatically adjust that to be underneath, and that'll be the new T-share rate.
Did you want to?
But basically, yes. What he wants to know is, yes, it ratchets up. So if they do it over and over and over again, yes, they can suck a lot of money out of the system, but slowly but surely they will lose position in the T-share game, which for really rich people can be the long-term play because they're like, I'm really rich already. Maybe I don't need 200 grand a month. Maybe I want $6 trillion in 20 years. So it's just whatever your flavors is.
Yes, I have the Hex. Let's see if I can show him what you're actually talking about.
Let's see how cheap a T-share is right now for the people. Woo!
Right.
Sam, T-shares were like 10 grand at some point, or like, I don't remember. It was over Ethereum. It was like at least 4 grand at some point.
So what was that Crypto Pen? So Crypto Pen, this is what is it? 22,000 roughly. X?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
21,865 is the T-share rate.
So 22,000 Hex basically gets you 1 T-share.
Yep, and that's 6 Hex per day, right now, roughly.
And that this is not the number he's representing. It's just the approximate of how much Hex you get per day. So the dollar cost of 22,000 Hex has decreased over time. But you had a great chart up earlier, bro. You remember that chart you were showing right before we went live, where we get to see the dollar cost of
Let me look at my
time?
history real quick. I forgot. I can look
because it was a really good chart.
That was a great chart.
Yeah, the number of Hex needed, the number of Hex needed to purchase a T-share increases.
Right, pop that down real quick.
Boom. That's what she said.
What are those buttons?
Hey, Shift S. Shift S.
I just want to do it myself. So
we're learning here. We're moving forwards.
Yep, you got to do it. You can't just defer all the time. It's annoying. This is the one thing I always defer on, but I am slowly but surely getting better at it. Can you see me?
Boom. We got you. We are live.
Okay, so guys, real quick, this is my favorite as of right now. This is the one I want to look at in the morning when me and Sam come on here because it's really clean cut. But I got to double back to make sure all the numbers are correct. But I'll do that later. So Apex, you see, guys, even stuff like this, like I'm not a professional by any means. The people that made this chart might not be professionals either. So I always think about like, this could just be like a slap together thing. I don't know enough, right? Let's check it out, right? Okay. Because guys, that's how skeptical you need to be in crypto. Like, oh, it's a great website. It's about MetaMask. It's about Hex. No, hold up. Let's see if the numbers line up. Okay. So Hex 7 cents, 13.59 from the bottom, Sam. Pretty dope to see that right there, isn't that? One T-share rate blistering, absolute nuke. So that means you double your money if you staked, basically.
So explain that because crypto.
So basically, we have Hex right here. This is the asset we're talking about, right? When you stake Hex on the hex.com website, you get a proportion of the yield that the system offers in shares. Just think of these as shares. Don't worry about T-shares. Don't worry about this number either. You get a certain amount of shares. That share rate ratchets up due to the use of the system. Therefore, you want to have more shares, but over time you will lose shares if you are not putting in, if you are only putting in the same amount of, anyway, it's just a self-regulating system. The more money goes in, the higher the rate goes up. The more people sell, the more people will want to stake because it gets, so it's a self-regulating system within the code. So the rate, isn't that cool, Sam, though?
It is dope.
Within the software, though? Isn't that so cool?
And if somebody's been in since September, we've actually seen a decline in the cost per T-share. So that does not mean that you need less Hex, but the US dollar value to purchase one T-share has actually dropped. Right there at the peak of the yellow chart here, it was $1,000, or what does that say? $10,000? $10,000, and it has dropped substantially. Now we are.
But that's to be expected. I mean, that's as clear as day.
That it's come down. It's come down because the price of Hex has come down.
Yeah, because 85% dips are 85% dips. You can see it on the chart. You can see it on the chart everywhere. It's like that's 85% of the. It's exactly the proportion. It's just at 85% from the top, but it's a little higher, right? It's a little higher than that rate, but it's pretty much the same.
Yes. And then somebody was mentioning about APY. The current APY, if you're from my understanding, the current APY, if you're over like 6.8 years, is 40%, 39.9. Is that accurate? Is that how you understand that as well?
Yep.
Okay.
So basically, over 10,000 days, the max multiplier. 4,000 days, I mean. 4,000 days is 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. So once you get past that 10,000 day mark, Sam, I mean, that 4,000 day mark, it might be 3,500 days. I think it's 4,000 now. I think it's 10 years on the button. That's when you get
I think it would make sense that it's 3,650, right? Because 365.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. So just know that after that point, Sam, the multipliers are done for longer pays better, and that's what that APY represents.
Oh, okay, interesting. So it's not the average strike length. It's not past the average strike length. It's past the 3,500.
Well, I don't know if that's what this number exactly represents, but whenever you see that number like 38, I always think that's. Because whenever I stake out max, that's what you get. Because when I've staked a million times, and usually for max length, and or like 4,000 days plus, and it's always equivalent to roughly that number.
Well, how long is the longest time you've gone without looking at your Hex stake?
I never look at it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at mine, and it's. I did for the first like week or
two.
Look at it. I haven't looked at it. Yeah, exactly. What's the point of looking at it? I haven't looked at it. I'm not going to do anything. Like, what's the point of looking at it?
Look at the adoption chart, Sam.
Wow.
So we have the total stakers here. That's this line, the bold one. We have the current stakers underneath. So this one some stakers are out of the system,
Yes.
So basically it's just like the difference between the guys that are out of the system. But as you can see, it's still steady Eddie, right?
Oh, that's interesting. So,
so this was kind of representing what you were thinking about on the other page. Remember, you were like the amount of T-shares are going down, and this is exactly representing that.
So they stop at one point just so we can read what it says. Okay, so total stakers, okay, and then current stakers. So there's obviously some of them are not in the system anymore. So there's currently about, at that point in time on February 17th of this year, there was about 79,744. Now go to the most current. There's 95, right? 95,000 stakers. So we went from 80,000 to 95, 15,000 additional stakers. So that could.
So this time last year, Sam, where's this time last year? What are we at? May. So we doubled the pool since then, plus some.
Okay, so what's May 24th?
Oh, wait, so 32,000 active stakers at that moment. And here we have, whoa, what the fuck did I just click on? Anyway, you saw that it was 3 times more. So it's 3 times more. Wait. It was roughly 3 times more, Sam.
32 to 95. 32 to 95. 3x basically.
Yeah, that's crazy, Sam. That was last year. That's when that was after I started. That was months after I started.
Wow. Wow, this is a very
that was right around when I started.
What site is this? What site is this?
This is app hex.win/charts.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up
so you can see the daily payout per T-share, Sam. This is another great. Oh my God, look how beautiful.
Let me see this.
So look on this day, Sam. I remember this day. We got 24 hex per T-share.
Wow. Okay.
Why did we get that, Sam? Why did we get it? Explain.
Because there was somebody whose wallet got compromised, and the wallet that was compromised, they did an emergency end stake, and they had all their hex got lost because if you emergency
but in a general way, like without that
penalties.
So when you end stake, guys, so for the guy in the system, I mean the guy in the comments that was talking about it, when you end stake, another feature of Hex, another pumpamental, is that the penalties you get from ending stake, which can be very severe, as you can see on the chart here, where we usually are getting 6 hex roughly per day, on this day for every T-share you have at 8 p.m. or whenever the click over time is, you earn 24 hex per T-share. I know guys with 50,000 T-shares.
So this is gradually sliding up. If you see the jump right after big payday,
this number will be up here. This is a positive slope, guys. So this number will only increase over time. In 15 years, that number will be unrecognizable.
Because look at just in this period of time, go to the beginning of right after big payday, where the jump is to the left. Yeah, go right past that to what does that say? So this is 5.92. 5.92. Okay, now go to the couple right to the right, all the way over to the other side. 5.7.
Now we're at 6.17 roughly.
Yeah.
But that's documented. I mean, that's going up. That has to go up over time if the system is adopting.
No, that's crazy. There's also
that's another pumpamental too, guys. These are the things people don't understand. This is going up over time too. In the beginning, Sam, what was Motley getting when he first had T-shares? He was getting roughly 1 hex per T-share, right? They didn't think it was going to be fucking 6. They weren't fucking geniuses. Like, they weren't extrapolating the freaking T-share payout chart. They didn't even know what a T-share was. Think about that, Sam. They did not know they would be getting 6 hex per day, period. They had not a fucking clue.
Joe, look at another interesting thing in this chart. Look at the after big payday. So after that jump in the chart, in the middle of the chart right there, from say you look at the first like 2 inches there. What do you notice about the chart right there versus the most current 2 inches? Is that
it's sloping down a bit.
And look at the volatility. Look at the penalties.
They're stopping.
And then look at now. Look at the most current period of time. There's a lot more penalties. People are early end staking more now than they were a year ago, a year and a half ago.
Right. But we got overextended. We got overextended in a bear market. It's just a direct proportion, right? Like people just suck the value back out. It makes perfect sense to me. You know what I mean? Like people want it out because.
So what you're saying then, if what you're saying is accurate, then where do you feel? Where do you think we're entering into the bear market, or we're like kind of in the bear market, or do you think we're entering the tail end of the bear market?
Well, every coin, depending on the economic mass, when the bear market pins to the bottom, like Bitcoin's going to be like what tells everyone that the bull market's going on again. But there's things that could front run it potentially, like Hex and stuff like that, because the tokenomics are so good, but there's nothing else. So everything else. But economic mass wise, like in general, I think I forgot what the question was.
Do you think we're entering into a bear market? Do you think we're in the midst of a bear market?
We're in a bear market. We're balls deep in a bear market.
Okay.
We're about to get balls deeper. But
now think about what you just said. The last 3-4 months, basically 2022. 2022, you guys can look at this chart. You see the the little polka dots above the teal blue line, those are penalties, right? Those are going to be penalties that are end staking. Penalties have increased. GRC's belief is that the reason we've had an increase in early end stakes is because of people overextending. If that's an accurate observation, and we're in the middle of a bear market, that means there could be, 3 months, or could be another 12 months of the bear market, or whatever it might be, right? That means we're going to see more early end stakes.
I don't know. If the value gets low enough, Sam, people are going to not want to take it out because they just, there is a value prop there too. Just because you can take out a lot of funds more than you had doesn't mean you would like to miss the 1100% shoot up.
But still, you just said it. There's going to be people who are overextended.
Well, yeah, but they're almost out. I mean, there's a couple stakes left, but you know what I mean? We got to see what happens. We could go down further for sure, but it's overextended. That whole market was overextended. Now the valuation for Hex is too low.
This is such an amazing opportunity, though.
Yeah, no, the value prop for Hex is stupid. At 50 cents, it's still stupid. At $1, it's relatively stupid still. Just think about
dude,
it's just free money. It's just you're just putting your money on the internet, and it just makes more money.
I would love if it got down to 5.5 cents, because then I basically can be purchasing at the same price you were purchasing a year ago. What I mean by that is 5.5 cents Hex on Ethereum. If I can get in before Pulse launches, then what I'm effectively doing is buying Hex at 2.75 cents per share. Think about that. I can buy Hex at the same price you bought it for in May of 2021 because I'm effectively getting 2 copies. So that's actually getting twice as much for the same price, meaning a 50% decrease in the actual cost because I'm getting it on both chains. And we've run through how a bridge works. We've run through how the parity is going to hold, in my opinion, when you just look at the data. Right, I've talked about that many times. Hex on Ethereum and Hex on Pulse are going to, in my opinion, be very, very close, very, very quickly, because there's people who have a lot more money than we do, who have a financial incentive to create that parity. Otherwise, those people are going to be taking advantage of that to basically double or increase their bags.
Right? Sam, did we just find the honey hole that we've been looking for? This bottom chart. Is this the chart? Is this the chart we've been looking for? Expiring. I think
so.
Sam, expiring stakes. Can you tell me how to? Oh, here. I hate asking how to zoom in on screen because it makes me feel like a pleb, but you gotta do what you gotta do. What am I fucking doing?
Okay, wait a second. So where's the time frame?
Oh, right here.
Okay. Can we zoom into that? Hey, click to the left and then hold down and drag to the right. So go to the left a little bit, click, and then drag to the right. Now let go. And see if it zooms in. There it is. Okay, perfect.
Wow, that was sick, Sam.
Go.
That was sick.
Let's do it one more time.
Let's go.
Yes.
I'm so much smarter now.
Yes.
So here we are.
Okay. Ooh, this is interesting, bro.
Yes.
Okay, so now this is what we were looking for in that other chart.
Yep. So look, Sam, we'll do this one first, right here. Expiring May. What's the date right now, Sam?
25th. So this is tomorrow.
Yeah. So 260
million. Is this 60,000?
Yes, 60,000. That's 137,000. Yes, it is.
I don't think it's 1,000.
Oh, you're telling me?
It?
Yes. This is every single stake in like one day. Oh wait. Excuse me. These fucking charts. So look on this side, it's million Hex. Yes, Sam, I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. It is million. Okay, cool, perfect. Thank you, because I didn't see the chart.
Wow, that's a lot of Hex. 260 million Hex come out May 25th.
Tomorrow. I love when Sam and GRC get excited about Hex. Dope. This is cool. We should have dove into this chart.
564 million, Sam, coming out here. So, Sam, it tells you right at the top.
Where?
I think. What is grace period, guys? It says.
Oh, that's a 2-week period after a stake ends, right? Isn't there a 2-week period of time where there's the good accounting function can be pressed?
Well, I think he's saying like within this. I wish I knew exactly how to interpret this. Something just popped up on. Someone just popped up on here, and he's been known to be a serial furu.
What up?
No,
Dude.
the beard is looking so fierce.
Oh man,
So fierce.
keeping me warm in the summer, baby.
Dude, can you help me or can know how to understand what stakes are coming out like in the short term?
Yeah, you guys just had a good chart up for that.
All right, let me pull that up for you. Yeah.
So like the key is to look down at the bottom. There's a visual key. The red is the late. If I'm sorry, what is it? Nuke stakes. The yellow is late
stakes in grace and expiry.
Yeah, that's like that 2-week period that you get before you start to experience depreciation.
So when it says late stakes, does that mean that they are getting penalized now?
Yep, they're already incurring penalty for not good accounting or ending stake.
So if somebody has like a stake and that comes due and that 2-week period of time passes and they start getting penalized, that money's SOL, or can they go in and just take a smaller amount out if they remember it or find their seed phrase?
Yeah, I mean they can come back and get what's left, but the penalty is already incurred, so it's not going to go straight to zero. You basically get a year to get your money out, but yeah, whatever penalty they've already incurred is being calculated so that when the good accounting or end stake feature is run, all of those penalties will go to the rest of the stake class in the OS.
What is your thoughts, right? Over the next 6 to 12 days or something like that, there's over 1 billion hacks coming on the market, right? And not coming on the market doesn't necessarily mean like sales, but I'm curious to know what you think.
Well, we'd have to look at the addresses, but yeah. I know.
No, but if you factor 1 billion, if you have a 1%, right, 1% that sells off, right, because there's probably 75 or 175 addresses, right? There's going to be one that has most of that, and then there's going to be a bunch of small ones. And 1% sells off interest or doesn't restake it. That's 10 million hacks that gets dumped on the market over the next 6 to 12 days. At 1% of 1 billion that's coming out over this next 10 days. What are your thoughts on that? Is 1% like reasonable? Like, and obviously what GOC is saying, like to try to like maybe have a more accurate picture of reality, we'd have to look at the 175 addresses. Hey, what does this person tend to normally do? And then maybe we get a more accurate picture. But when you get these large numbers, I don't know crypto like you guys do. I would assume that you can even pull a tiny bit because there's going to be some, even at 175 people, there's going to be some portion of those people who decide that it is appropriate time because they got in, 17 months ago. They've already had a 12x or 143x. Even though the price is down, it still makes sense for them mentally to pull their money out. So what are your thoughts on this?
No, I agree with that. Capitulation cometh is what I think about that. So we're seeing now kind of the perfect storm of the macro environment as well as the short-term price performance kind of cooperating into a downward spiral. It won't last forever, but it's gonna get worse. I've been trying to be gentle about it, but the price is gonna go down a little bit. There's no reason that people would be getting heavy into risk on assets, and the people who probably would are the ones that are having those stakes come due right now. So I don't think that they're going to sell all of it, but you're going to see some of that hit the market just to justify the time that it was locked up. And that's okay. That's healthy. So I was in the comments a little earlier before I hopped in the shower that Hex hasn't reached its critical mass yet. So the volatility that you're seeing in today's price chart is going to be even more dramatic than what you'll see in the future, just because there will come a point, in my estimation, where there's so much capital on the line that the economic opportunity cost shifts from merely price appreciation, and it leverages itself further into the liquidity providing opportunities. But you need volume for that. So you need.
Can you explain that more in depth?
Mm-hmm. So as it currently stands, there's not a ton of trading volume in Hex. A lot of people buy it and hold it. And I shouldn't even say a lot. That's misleading. Like a lot versus like me versus 300,000 people. That's fighting a lot of people, but 300,000 people in a world of billions of people is not even a blip on the radar. So it's all relative, right? And right now we are relatively unnoticeable on the radar. And so the opportunity cost of providing liquidity is, it's just not a super, it's profitable, but it's not overwhelmingly profitable when you compare it to a 10,000x on the underlying asset. So right now, the majority of the opportunity is in buying bottoms and selling tops and manufacturing capitulation. But there will come a day where, while that is still true, because price appreciation does tend to make up the majority of the gains in the portfolio, there will be more opportunity to earn part of that ROI through liquidity providing, which doesn't come with the sunk cost of time that a stake requires with the Truth engine. You can pull that liquidity whenever you want. So as Hex continues to mature from a market share standpoint, how many people are in the system, you'll begin to see some of that risk move away from the token price, and that'll be shouldered by the liquidity providing opportunity. So it's right now people are seeing what it looks like when you have an entirely speculative asset that maybe like 2% of the user base understands the value proposition of, and the other 98% are playing it as an investment that, you know, number go up and try to sell number higher than where you bought it. So, and that's totally fine. That's how everything works.
That's how every market works.
Yeah, if we all knew that
this market works a little bit better than the others, like a little bit, like just a little.
Sure. There's
I
less
tell
middlemen
everyone
fees.
like this is just another thing on the market, but it has more positive externalities.
It does. It does. And, you know, we don't have the issue of, I was reading a Wall Street Journal article the other day that was talking about how, and I've been saying this now for like 4 years and no one cares, when the price of an asset goes up, the people who benefit the most, other than obviously the holders, are the ones that are making management fees moving that asset. Because when you think about even like the constant product market maker model, where there's a shift in price and you're always earning 0.3% of fees, or in the case of PulseX, you're going to earn 0.29% of the trade in fees. Well, hey, a $1,000 asset, 0.29% of that is way more lucrative than a $10 asset. So in legacy, that becomes sort of a siphoning mechanism where the middlemen or the money managers, the portfolio managers, are earning a disproportionate increase of revenue, and it's at the cost of the investors. But in DeFi, because it's being done by a machine and the liquidity providers don't get to necessarily manipulate the value of the order book, then you actually get kind of a mutually beneficial system. So the investors get their price appreciation, and the liquidity providers are still making better on their services. But we don't have that critical mass yet in Hex.
Do you see, like, based upon what you were just saying, and I'd be curious to ask you about the different automated market maker models, the constant,
Sure,
all that kind of stuff, because I don't know about that. But do you see the liquidity, the volume of like liquidity in Hex, the dollars that are held in Hex, and the volume of trading? Do you see both of those increasing in the future, right? Because
100%.
Okay, but
Eyes closed, no doubt.
but not necessarily as quickly as the overall market. If you looked at on average, the provided liquidity maybe as a 5x increase, but the amount increase in Hex might be a double. Because you have the benefit of staking in that into the future. Yeah. And there's a lot of go ahead.
I agree with that. Logic makes sense to me. So, and I think it's already kind of played out that way, right? Like we see that the price appreciation far exceeded the amount of additional liquidity that came to the order book. And that's what I mean by, like, right now, I don't think the mechanisms are truly showing people the long-term value proposition. You have to kind of dig into the weeds to see it. There's a lot of opportunity in price appreciation right now, and not as much in the liquidity providing because the volume isn't there. But as the volume increases because of adoption, more opportunity will be offered to the LPs. But the pie is getting bigger. So don't think that I'm saying like more opportunity to LPs means less opportunity for investors. No, it's more for both. But the LPs right now are sort of, they're holding on to a very insignificant proportion of value. And that when that reaches critical mass, you will see a ecosystem that is much more beneficial to investors in such a way that I suggest that the volatility, like we could still see 80% decrease in price, but you're again probably only being affected by macro conditions at that point, because, and you guys touched on this a little bit earlier, Hex, in my opinion, is a equitable scarcity model, is what I call it, because it does inflate, like Bitcoin inflates, but it'll hit a 21 million cap. But once it hits that 21 million cap, it becomes inequitable for new users to adopt, because there's so much power guaranteed to be held by the early adopters. Whereas with Hex, and what we see with the OA, is that it's being diluted over time because it's unstaked. And so there's this good reflexivity between the increase in the supply as well as your opportunity to earn that increase in supply through staking. And so that's a value proposition that's attractive to the smallest investor as well as the largest investor. Like Godwale locked up, hundreds of millions of dollars for 15 years. But then somebody else can go and lock up $100 worth of today's Hex for 15 years, and it'll be a far larger bag by the time that comes due. You can't do that in Bitcoin, so it's not equitable.
Do you are comparing like the price appreciation of Hex versus say LP in the one sense? And so I'm doing both of those, providing liquidity in Hex, and I have a stake, right? So I'm earning, I haven't checked it in 2 months or something. So like, I don't know what it is, but it's north of probably 35%, right? Maybe 37, 38, 39. I have no idea. When I do check liquidity providing, and I'm earning around an annualized rate of 100%, right? So when you're like thinking about that, I'm earning the fees in Hex, right? So there's, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, well, I'm earning 35% over here, and I'm earning 100% over here. Yes, like if the price starts to move, that one portion of the bag could decrease, but I could just as well easily pull off the fees that I am earning, convert them into stakes to like offset if like one were to run versus the other type of thing.
Sure.
Here's what your thoughts are on that, because the returns are actually, from my little bit of experience, right, are greater for the LP.
Right. Yeah. So it's greater in right now a depreciating asset, right, from a price performance standpoint. So you should always expect that the people that are putting up the risk of two assets should return a greater ROI than the people who are taking a risk on the one asset, right? That's kind of the basic principle of risk reward management. But the issue is like you're earning a greater reward in something because it's underperforming. And the opposite would be true if Hex was pumping, right? You'd be earning a smaller reward, but you would be taking in massive amounts of stable coin, which doesn't have the risk of depreciating in value. So you offset your risk on the flip side. So, but you brought up a really good point. I would argue that's a fundamental nobody talks about, is liquidity providers can shift their assets at risk into stakes, and then they can kind of make up for whatever they could have lost through impermanent loss, or just to mitigate some of the percentage change in their value. So that's like a opportunity that doesn't exist anywhere else, really. And that's really powerful. And as for like the other, just to touch on them briefly, like the other market maker models and stuff, they're just different equations, bro. So like constant mean is like X times Y times Z to the 1/3 power equals C. So it's just like different ways of getting the same end product.
Okay? So then it would be the same thing if you were doing the mixed function one or something. But
mixed function is like the sum of the linear variates. So your X times Y equals K plus the sum of Xi equals 1 to the nth of your invariates equals K. So it's just different math equations that come out to, it's all about like, what's the most appropriate way to maximize the fee and minimize the impermanent loss. And in a truly dynamic market where you just have two random assets like Hex and USDC or Hex and another crypto would be more appropriate, X times Y equals K works really well. But if you did X times Y equals K for stable coins, it's not like a really great yield farm. So in that case, you would do like a constant sum market maker, which would be like X plus Y equals K. And by doing that, you actually inflate the rewards based on the individual movements of either asset.
Can you touch on that a little bit? So if you're doing too risky things, right, then the traditional sense of an automated market maker of X, Y equals K versus two stables where you have X plus Y equals K, right? Is that what you were just saying for the sum? So why is that, right, different in terms of providing extra yield for liquidity providers, if I was understanding that?
Yeah, it's tough without like drawing a graph, but essentially like X times Y equals K is just a completely linear equation. X plus Y equals K it's also linear, but the friction or the bend of the curve is more significant at the margins. So 1 point move in X plus Y equals K is greater than 1 point move of X times Y equals K.
Oh, okay. I could graph that out and actually take a look at what it would look like. Okay, cool.
Because you're not expecting them to move as much. It's like, why is anyone swapping one stable for another? Well, they're probably like routing through something, and it might touch one stable pair, go into another stable pair, and then come out the other side on something else. And you're the two stables that are giving them the in-between bridge. So you want that, even though it's very minimal friction, you want to really bring the reward to that friction. You want to kind of accentuate how much that model moves so that the LPs have financial incentive to keep their liquidity on the table.
That would be, if you have a interesting resource that kind of covers those, that I would love to read through.
Yeah, I can find a couple for you, probably a couple of links I can send you.
Okay. Somebody had sent me a message on Twitter, and she was talking about that, and I was like, oh, that sounds fucking interesting to learn about, because I know nothing about that stuff. So I appreciate the insight you had on there. What dexes or exchanges use, because what you're saying, right? If that's if somebody's trying to optimize something, they're going to use a automated market maker formula that is different for risky assets than, well, they're all risky, so to speak. It just depends on how you view risk, but versus stables, right? Like, so say Uniswap might use X times Y equals K formula for, say, Hex and ETH, or ETH and wrapped BTC, right? Where if you have Tether and USDC, maybe they use the constant sum, right? But I don't know of, and it's just my potential like rudimentary understanding of it, but I don't know of any that would have done that yet. Do you see that in any places, or generally is it all one or all the other?
I mean, so I know Curve provides, they integrate multiple AMM formulas based on like which kind of asset pairs you're in. So like the stable pairs and stuff. So they have, man, it's been so long, dude, since I've done this, but like, I'm pretty sure it's called Stable Swap, I think is the Curve protocol. And that's, I'm pretty sure they're using the constant sum on that. And then they, in the crypto assets, if it's like ETH, Hex, BTC, that's not a thing in Curve, but let's say it was, that's where you're going to get like the X times Y times Z in parentheses to the 1/3 power equals constant. And that's like, so that you're getting the minimal amount of friction. So like the fees are still going to be paid out of the initial sum value of whoever's asking for the exchange. But in terms of the impermanent loss experienced by the LP, it's diversified across the average of the performance of the three assets. And so if you have pretty thick, it's just the same idea of like, if you have really thick order books of two assets of the X times Y equals K, there's less impermanent loss. Well, in this way, you might not have as much of any of the three, but together the summed value of all three is greater than when you were doing X times Y. And so the friction that you experience or the impermanent loss that you experience is minimized because you're diversifying it across multiple. And you could do, I mean, technically, I don't think anyone's doing this, but you could put together, you know, X times B to the nth power number of variables divided, or multiplied to the 1 over n power would still get you the constant mean product.
Because I think I see like what I've seen in the market so far, and understanding a little bit about legacy, you see that like there could be an iteration of some type of DEX that allows people to almost like pool, but not in the sense of two pairs, but pool across a segment of assets. So it's a segment of risky assets, and you could provide whatever you wanted in there. But because the size of it is so big, this allows people to do that in an efficient manner and reduce some of the, if people care about impermanent loss, or maybe you can just do it with one side.
I think that's the future. So I think both of those are the future of automated market makers. Like, I see no reason that a major asset owner couldn't collateralize or put up to risk a diverse portfolio of assets and route the value in such a way that if it's a truly diversified portfolio of assets that they're putting on the table, you would expect divergent price performances given one change in economic conditions, and therefore some will overperform, underperform, but then the converse will occur when the economic shifts, the economic forces shift. So in that sense, it would be highly beneficial to the market. And that LP is just kind of producing productivity out of these assets that they probably can't move, right? You're probably talking real estate, gold, silver, things like that.
Because you could spread the risk. I mean, I'm thinking of like actuary or like insurance, right? And if you think of, if you pool that as a risk and then you spread that over multiple people, but then instead of a actuarial like table for a insurance company where they're reaping the benefits from it, you can take that risk, so to speak. For some people call it a risk, right? I think of it as like a sunk cost or like an opportunity cost.
Yeah, opportunity cost is fair.
Yeah, and just spreading that over multiple people, you could reduce that individual risk. But I don't see that taking place yet. But I definitely see that as the evolution. Like, get rid of that risk completely by pooling the things together, and then you can reduce the overall risk of providing LP.
Yeah, that if you're talking about multiple individuals, that gets a little more complicated, because then the reward, the proportionality of the reward, you could experience impermanent loss, not from the trade, but from the time it takes to produce the reward to each player. So you'd have to come up with like a holding value, I guess, where it's like the trade is occurring, we're going to take a manufactured constant based on the input values, and then be able to withhold producing a different value when it comes to the reward for all the players. Because otherwise the value could, because of how many trades are occurring, you have to think like there could be millions of trades occurring a second. And so if it takes even a millionth of a second for the reward to hit person D as opposed to A, B, and C, the disproportionate change in prices could leave them with an impermanent loss that doesn't reflect the reward that the earlier players received. So that would be interesting to look at. But then the other side of this coin is the single-sided liquidity providing. So like single-sided liquidity providing is going to be huge for individual players that don't have a super diverse portfolio to collateralize. But that's why I think those are kind of the two future outcomes. Is like you want the single-sided, and then you want like a compounded portfolio put up against one asset, or to interplay with all the assets in that portfolio kind of thing. I think that would be
so for the single-sided thing, how do you think that may actually play out? Right, because right now it makes sense like why you need the two sides in an automated market maker, but you're going to have a change in that in order to take place. Like you're going to have, that's going to have to change, and like, you know what I mean? It has to change in order for you to do single-sided staking for this, and other than using a different protocol that farms in some way, right? If you're thinking about liquidity providing, right, you're going to have to change the formula, or the pool is going to have to be so much bigger.
Yeah, there'll be different formulas. So like, that's why there's Uniswap V2 and V3, right? Like you couldn't have both formulas in one of the Vs. Like it has to be separate. And that's because for V3, like I don't technically know what their equation is on V3. I'm sure if I did enough single-sided liquidity providing and like actually tracked it, like when I do it, I have it in there and I know what my targets are. So I'd have to look at it like day after day after day after day, but I can kind of assume that they're using an increased management fee or transaction fee to hedge the scraping friction value of the interchange of assets. So like, as opposed to a 0.3% fee, if I charge you a 1% fee, but I'm actually burying 0.7% in a hedge against impermanent loss, understanding that there's other liquidity providers in the same price range, then I can borrow from them in the immediate term to ensure that you're rewarded without experiencing what would be impermanent loss of the asset that you don't have up for grabs. And then if the price continues to diverge, I begin to borrow or dig into the liquidity of the other players in that price range. So I assume the equation looks something like X divided by 1 over X to the nth power in parentheses.
So I think
the
it's
sum of 1 to the nth, or
Yeah.
1 to the X equals N would be the equation.
I'm trying to pull it up right now, but I'll have to pull it up at a different time. I think it might be X plus X to subscribe times Y plus Y to subscribe equals like L squared.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What are you dorks talking about?
But I don't know how they're
I
getting
don't
the
know.
Y.
What did
That's
you,
what
you
confused me.
just said what came out of his mouth just made sense. I need that. I need that to recap for 1 second.
I'm
Somebody
curious
clip
where
that.
they're coming up with
Somebody
Y. I try to
clip
do it with just X's.
Somebody clip that. The fact that that came out of your mouth, yeah, that makes sense. I thought the last thing you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say. I thought you, but I guess you guys know some of the inner workings of the equation for these.
It sounds really tough,
Yeah.
but it's easier when you like see real numbers and it.
X
drives me
plus
a lot.
Y equals something else. There's an equation for this stuff that you guys probably have good insight on because you know in the fields, right? Like Sam, do you know about? Was this a part of your life knowing some of these equations about how money moves?
I'm not fully like, you know, there's not something coming to my mind as Orca's actually mentioning this, as in like I've studied this before, but understanding how like things in algebra go together and how that a graph might look depending on how it's structured. I have a little bit of understanding of that. So when he's going into some of this stuff, some of it it's like shooting right by my head, but other stuff is like, okay, well this makes sense how he's actually going through and describing this. Because when you take a function, right? You take this, you know, the X times Y equals K, and if you were to say graph that, you put X, Y on a graph and you graph that out, you get to see what a curve would look like. Now, when you change that formula, X times Y equals K, maybe you add something to it or you take something away or you add them together instead, but then you change the X times Y. That graph where you have X times Y changes. And that's what he's describing, or in my mind, how I'm perceiving what you're describing.
Yeah, and different shapes of a curve equal. That just translates to different outcomes for the liquidity provider as well as the price impact to the person who's swapping from asset A to asset B. So it sounds super duper complicated, and some of the math is like, I don't want to be. I'm glad a bot does it, right? Like I don't want to have to calculate it, but to some extent, you're just bending a straight line and creating a tangent with a curved line and trying to minimize the point at which they create. Like tangent does by definition one point, but
you're losing people on tangent.
Yeah, sorry. So tangent is just so you have a line and then you have something else and they just touch at one individual point. But the idea is like, how efficiently can you create the point at which they touch? The more efficiently that happens, the less impermanent loss to the liquidity provider and the truer the price of the investor who's swapping from A to B, in terms of they don't experience a lot of price impact or slippage is what we call it. But then there would be times where you want them to incur more slippage because the trade maybe doesn't make sense. Like if you're routing through stable coins, you're probably not trading stable coins because you just like the smell of one stable coin more than the other. You're probably routing from asset A to asset B, and the only liquidity that can facilitate that at some point has stables where they're kind of crossing from one party of providers to a second party of providers into this final route. And so in that case, like those people should be rewarded more. So you would experience more friction between the line and the tangential curve that that touches.
GRC, does when when he's talking about routing through like a DEX.
I'll be right back. I just gotta grab my coffee.
GRC, when he's talking about routing through a DEX, does that like make sense? What that means? Like, okay, cool. So
I mean, I understand the process. I try to work through that in my own head. It's just
so
that
say
I don't know the verbiage.
If you have, say, SHIB and like some other coin that, or not SHIB because it's probably a bunch of liquidity. Say you have like XYZ, toenail clipping coin and some other like, dog meme coin that doesn't have any liquidity on those, and you want to swap between those two, but there's no actual pair between those two on, say, Uniswap V3. So what happens is you have the dog meme thing, and when you look at the liquidity on that specific coin, maybe it's with USDC. So then what happens is they swap into USDC, and then USDC also happens to be paired with this toenail clipping coin. So then you take the USDC and then you swap it again through. So when he's talking about routing, it just means you're going from this into USDC, then from USDC into this dog toenail clipping coin. But sometimes it's a simple example where you have two. There's other times where maybe you have to go from this coin to USDC from USDC to something else, then into this coin. Like, hopefully, if there's an increase in like overall liquidity in a system, you won't have to do that. But there's definitely times where you have to like.
Yeah, I did that. Is this an example? I bought Hedron this morning, and I swapped some of my ETH to USDC, I think, because I didn't want to get. There was nothing in the pool.
Yes.
So I didn't want to get a bad rate. I wasn't 100% sure what it was, but I had a feeling I would get a bad rate, so I just switched it over.
Orca, if you are going through like what GRC was mentioning, he was swapping from, instead of routing it,
which I'm all learning about right now, by the way.
Pull up the hex.com website. Pull up hex.com, and then you can buy hex on that website, but it'll also show you the smart routing at the bottom of the field. So it'll tell you, in order to buy this, it's showing you like the most efficient route so that you incur the least amount of slippage.
Whoops, sorry.
That's interesting that it shows you that.
So, shucks, I guess. I don't know if you have to connect a wallet to do this. Try just going up. It's up.
He has a wallet on there.
I have a dummy wallet on here, so I just have to to connect.
We're pros.
It's just going slow.
It took us 90 days to get our dummy wallet so we could share.
Dude, I think I've lost a couple of dummy wallets because I didn't do great OPSEC. Like, if someone wanted to give me like a free NFT or like a giveaway, and I was like, let me spin up a dummy wallet real quick, and then I just like didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what were you saying down here?
No, very top. So right there where you can do ETH into hex, just put a value into ETH real quick.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you need to connect your wallet or not.
Let's see here. Let's get this connected.
Uh-oh. Wow, this is loading real quick. Hold the fucking phone.
The freeze?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's go.
Oh, shit. The last time I was on this stream was exactly this combo of people.
Yes.
Let's go.
Tangent. What's up, bro? We were just talking about tangents.
Yeah,
really talking
about
tangents.
All good, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Always is, baby.
Everybody comes on when I have to go. You guys suck.
Sam, get your ass off my show.
Well, real quick before you ditch us, bro, pull up hex.com and then just throw some values in ETH, and it should show us the smart routing.
So let's see.
Pretty
Let's do one. And it's
200 for an ETH. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So just let it do its thing, fetching best prices. Yeah, so tap that and then scroll down.
Auto router.
It says auto router.
Yeah, so there you go. So see, it's showing you where it's going to pull this liquidity from.
Wow.
And it sort of tells you like that's just the most optimal route or whatever. And then if you got into like there's different assets where that might look a little crazier. Like it might show you that it's going from one asset into like Tether into another asset into a final asset. So it just depends on how much liquidity is available and where it's going to source it from to give you the best price on the backside.
That's what we were talking about GRC when Orca stepped away. Tangent, Orca, GRC. I appreciate you guys. I look forward to hopefully having a longer conversation with all you guys in the future.
You bet.
Yes. Talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you.
Peace, brother.
Yo, that font and design that you guys just showed looks very similar to the flyer that was sent out.
Someone sent that to me, so it's probably the same dude.
Might be.
Yeah, it's probably.
Andrew, have you been sleeping well, brother?
Yeah, I sleep fine. I sleep fine no matter
That's
what.
good, man. Hex has been betraying you.
He literally just said he always sleeps fine. Always.
I always sleep fine, but when I'm awake and the price of Hex is below 10 cents,
yeah,
I have tears flowing out of my mother effing eyes.
Why?
Yeah.
Tell us why.
He was hoping it'd be more bear market proof.
Yeah, I just didn't want to ever see. I didn't think it would ever go below 10 cents ever again, and I just thought that,
Just
what Orca said.
Yeah,
One day,
as somebody who
had really hoped that this was going to be Hex's time to shine.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It could be.
I agree with
yeah. Sorry, you're right. No, I apologize. It's
months in the future. Like this could all just be a blimp on the radar.
Everyone in the chat.
The clock is ticking though. Like, as in the window is closing.
This reminds me a lot of a tangent we spoke to at $40,000 Bitcoin, who said, "I think we're still in a bull market." So
yeah, dude,
everyone keep that in mind.
Dude, you're the trend. When you switch trends, the trend switches, dude. When tangent switches trends,
are you saying people should be counter trading my sentiment?
You are the Michael Saylor here. Like when you
yes, I'm the Michael Saylor of Hex. I'm the Michael Saylor of Hex.
Yes. We've got 87 people in the chat that just started shorting Hex.
They did the impossible. They got tangent bearish. How hard was
brutal,
it?
Man.
Tangent bearish.
That's fucking brutal.
But I agree with you, Tangent. Like, I know where you're coming from, but I do think that when Hex does reach a critical mass, I think it will be more bear market resistant. Like, it'll continue to perform better than Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin has actually done pretty well in this bear market so far, but
yeah,
in that same breath, like, you're not being compensated for how long this is taking for it to find its next leg up. So is it really overperforming, or are you just trading nominal loss for value and time loss? So
that's kind of the point.
Yeah. I would have loved for us to be able to set up the meme now, like have that narrative of bear market, like pointing to Hex and saying, look, we've now got this stellar example of this is the asset that you should rush to in times of uncertainty, you know? Basically making it the digital gold.
Right. That's the thing, is that when I say critical mass, we have not achieved enough economic input to trigger the scarcity time bomb. Like, we haven't created so much buying that the inflation can't outrun the demand. And so what we're seeing is just the rational behavior of large investors moving out of risk on assets into sure money positions currently during this bear market.
That's a fair assessment.
They're going to cash.
Man. That actually makes me feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, man. I love bear markets, but I also have a lot of empathy for people who are not necessarily winning every trade, or maybe they don't have a ton of money to like DCA all the time. But so I've been trying to share a little adage.
Or new to crypto, so that
dude, new to crypto and getting decapitated.
It's just all red, like, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's brutal. So I feel for them because I've seen it two or three times.
Heavy mother effer, you're gonna get railed anyway in crypto. So
it's like, tough, dude. It's really tough.
Yeah.
And
Blue Bum had a really good attitude on the last stream that I'm trying to adopt for myself. I don't know if you guys, we were on the DS late show earlier, and
I was watching.
I didn't get to pop in. I was walking.
Blue Bum was basically taking the attitude of like the more optimistic, positive attitude of saying, this is where I was at and this is where I'm at now, and I'm in a better position now, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So it's I was talking on Corey's show yesterday the difference between price and value, right? Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Like everyone says that, but no one seems to understand what that means. So like the value proposition of Hex has never changed. So if you really like the value proposition of Hex as something worth allocating some of your investment portfolio in, how could you be any happier than the price going down? Like, I know it's difficult to just, hey, what if the price goes down forever? Yeah, then that's a bad investment.
My whole
but
thing is just like,
Yeah, agree. I agree with Orca.
why are we worried when Hex still outperformed everything in the bear market?
Yeah, I mean, well, people, you know, it's kind of like when Richard puts out tweets that it's like Hex is up 2x for, you know, like 2 days ago, he said like, well, Hex is still up 2x from a year ago. It's like, well, not anymore. It's not. And it only took a couple of days for that statement to be invalidated. And that's the difficult thing. That's why price is not what intelligent investors, I have the book still with me. Like, that's not what they look at. They look at the value proposition, and you shouldn't be investing things you can't afford to lose. So even if it goes to zero, that shouldn't have any impact on your life at all, other than you have to improve your analysis of a value proposition.
And
but with regard
bag now, you can get a fatter bag if you'd like to, and you could just relax a little bit. I don't even me and Sam are stoked on this, guys. Believe it or not, I don't have that much sympathy for super rich motherfuckers that bitch all day. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not a super rich motherfucker. Like, so what am I supposed to do? Be like, oh, I hope your guys' Ferraris are all clean when you're crying. Like, no, I don't care. Like, you're the ones that are supposed to know. All of us are the ones that are supposed to be getting wrecked, and everyone's acting like this is the first time this has ever happened. But like everyone that knows everything says this happens every 8 months or whatever, you know, like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's like statistical probabilities of like how often does a 10% correction in the market occur, 20%, like a black swan where maybe you have like a 40%. But that's like TradFi. But in crypto, the volatility is obviously more severe because there's so many scams too. So it's like, is that really volatility, or is that just the market recognizing that the value proposition was flawed? SafeMoon, for example, Saitama, for example. And so with like Hex, when you're entering a bear market, it sucks because people want to buy. It's way more fun to buy than to sell unless you have some significant gains, right? So people want to buy all the way up thinking it'll always go up. And then an economic turn occurs and you're in a bear market, and now the price is plummeting and you get really nervous because it looks like it's heading to zero, the same way it used to look like it's heading to $1 million. So you go, well, I don't want to buy the thing that goes to zero. But I've been trying to help people with a very simple adage. I say, when they go high, we go long, and when they go low, we go shopping. And what I mean is, when rates are being increased, when interest rates are being increased to curtail inflation, that's the Fed going high. That's when you want to go long. Going long means buying a position. And in the case of Hex, it could mean buying and staking a position. And then when they go low, when they inject liquidity into the market, that's when you're going to get your bull run. That's when you're going to have a pump. That's when you should be buying your Lambos. Sell the tops. Go shopping. But a lot of people they say that they buy low and sell high, but they clearly don't, because they're getting really emotionally wrecked out here. So if you want a very simple adage, I would suggest looking at the performance of cryptos relative to the strength of the dollar, and how is the strength of the dollar largely impacted, like what are the leading variables there, and then you can come up with a pretty rudimentary strategy. It's not a guaranteed bottom and top call, but it's absolutely a generalized market position strategy that you can take, and you won't be so emotionally wrecked when you enter a bear market. This is the time to be preparing for, hey, I'm going to be the millionaire 2 years from now, but I need to get in now.
Yeah, and we want some of those millionaires to chop their balls off too, because that gives us more room.
Yeah, some of them, just having a lot of money doesn't mean that you're a good investor or a good trader by any means. So like, if they want to FUD themselves out, I don't care. I'm not fretting it, man. I'm investing in Hex for the value proposition. That's the reason I got in to begin with.
I do too. Money. Like, when people are telling me like, what's changed over here? And I'm like, well, they told me the code was locked. Obviously, I've never read it. I don't know, but enough consensus there that I trust it. So immutable code and free money. I'm just like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like a long-term play. Like, it's just a value. You're so right, Orca. It's just like, Hex is what it is. Like, if you don't, it is literally what it is. Like,
and that's the thing, is like, it's so easy for people to beat me up when I take that stance now, because the price is going down. Also, I've been calling for 4-cent Hex for like 3 months now, And it's easy to beat me up because
You have.
people haven't had the experience to be like, hey, things do go down. Like, dude, I've invested in so many brilliant companies that through economic conditions or through money management conditions, the price of the stock did fucking miserable. But the value proposition remained unchanged, and I kept my money in, and I continued to dollar cost average. And now those are some of my best investments I've ever made. And so when you have
Ooh, nice.
when you consider, yeah, man, it's like when your value proposition is worthy of an investment, you have to separate that reality from the price because they're two totally different opportunities to look at.
Again, we're all going to be wealthy
immutable.
because of this information, though. Like looking into this information in depth is like a job, and you get the rewards of doing that.
100%. And that's like, we know that Hex as a value proposition, we would never want it to change. And that's awesome. Like that's so much confidence that you can glean that doesn't exist in traditional businesses because leadership changes, products, you know, are projected to succeed and then they fail. There's a lot of unknowns. In Hex, there are very few unknowns other than what's the price going to be 5 minutes from now. And that's no different than any other asset. So who cares? The reality is that if you're willing to be patient and see the value proposition, you will survive long enough that there will come a day with enough like-minded value investors who are the best performing investors in the world. They will create a critical mass where we outrun the inflation versus the demand for purchasing, and you create this relentless pumpamental. People will still sell and take profits, but like you're looking at the T-share rate, a lot of these massive stakes that are going to come to an end, they can buy 4-cent Hex, 7-cent Hex, and stake out again, but they ain't getting 0.001 cent Hex. So it's going to take years and it's going to take time, but this is something that clicks eventually. And then people realize like, okay, I'm not going to overextend, but I'm always going to be increasing a position in here because it's clear that we haven't reached the point at which demand is exceeding the relative inflation of supply.
Yeah.
Tangent, you got any Bitcoin charts with you, man?
I wanted to say that I don't think I've ever heard this number of comments and statements in a row that I have agreed so wholeheartedly with for every single thing for the entire set. I agree with you 100% on everything that you have said since I entered this stream.
Well, now I'm nervous. I might have to reevaluate the value proposition.
Ouch.
No. But I totally agree. You know, like it's just, you got to get down to the nuts and bolts of it sometimes to figure out. But we know that no one does that. So it's a complicated concept. It's like you have to know what actually goes on. And then you also have to double back that knowledge on knowing that no one else knows what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns and it's super dynamic, which is why it's fun. Like I like to keep in touch with the price because it's fun, because I'm emotionally secure enough that it doesn't bother me. And that's, you know, some of that is like, you have to have enough money to pay your bills to be able to feel that way, right? And I understand that a lot of people were sold the dream. They were sold, hey, this doubles every 60 days or something like that. And that's irresponsible. That's not the value proposition of Hex. The value proposition of Hex is a mutable code that is trustless yield. And so that's a little frustrating. And like all the technical analysis in the world is nice in a bull run, but if you're not introducing the reality behind variables that directly impact the performance of Hex, the economic factors behind those variables changing values, then you're just doing a disservice to people. So we're all geniuses during the bull run, but then when it's a bear market, we're all so like resistant to tearing apart our models and looking at becoming more educated on what's driving these price changes. We all just want to believe that it's like, well, it made this triangle shape and then Tangent's got the perfect squiggly line. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that looks like it makes sense, but that's not what's going on here. Like there's real risks in the world. People are not just going to let their wealth turn into dust. And so they will position themselves appropriately and responsibly. And that's what you're seeing across all markets. And if you want to know how hard it is to be good at being an investor or a trader, look at TradFi right now. You see all these pump and dumps in the daily indexes. that is absolutely institutions washing retailers. Buy my bag, sell it on your head. Buy my bag, sell it on your head. I'm not just going to sell my way out of a position. I'm going to manufacture opportunities to maximize my return every single step down at the expense of the uninitiated who don't really understand that there's a difference between price and value.
There's a quote of that every model eventually breaks. So like you were saying,
but some are useful.
So those models that people were using in Bitcoin and in Hex to suggest that, you know, that there's some kind of flaw, or that there, you know, that there's some kind of, you know, unbreakable trend that you can rely on. Those are fallacies.
I agree.
Nice while they work, and then
you can directly think though about ways that Hex could break, like in your mind. Like there are ways to think about it. It's not impossible. It's really not, but it's just like against the trend, right? Like it's just
it's not Hex breaking though. It's just the price not doing what people expect.
Yeah, but at what point does that value prop become so juicy? Like for guys like me, like I mean, like how many soldiers do you need with $100,000 before you make a couple whales?
I think we are looking at late 2024 into early 2025 as being that will be Hex achieving all of the hopes and dreams that people have for it, and then I think that euphoria will last well into 2027. And I like those dates aren't picking at random. I have reasons behind that, but when you just look at the relative adoption, you have to have some, you know, amount of error in that projection of how consistently are we going to add new holders, how much are they going to bring to the table. But there is a real mathematical equation to deduce that the scarcity of Hex, relatively speaking, it inflates, but it can also be bought. So you can buy it faster than it produces new supply. And then the opportunity cost of selling against the T-share rate increasing means that you would be more conservative with your sale, which is similar to a savings account or a certificate of deposit. It's like you don't put $1,000 up to get $1,100 back to spend $1,100. You're typically trying to spend out of the $100 gain, or out of, you know, maybe $300, $400, but you're utilizing a balance there of your yield versus what you put up to stake, because you can afford to lose all of it. That's the point. So then spend the free money. And people don't have that figured out yet, and that's okay. People will never all figure it out.
Real quick, guys. So if I pull this up here, I'm sorry. Richard streamed out. I need one Hexagon to live stream the event now. One and only one. Richard,
what?
I'm streaming.
I thought they weren't going to stream it.
Well, he says one of us. He wants one of us to stream it on our channels, probably.
I think
Richard, if you're watching this,
you mean someone who's physically there to stream.
Yeah, doesn't he have that Sean guy? I thought Sean's in Stockholm.
Oh,
I don't think you mean someone with a channel, man, because there'd be thousands of Hexagons willing to stream that.
Yeah, but I'm live right now, and we're all
yeah, true. Well,
true. Availability is the best ability.
Hey, Richard. Hey, Crypto Gains Club, go check for me, please. Thank you. Come back with the alpha. Tell Big Man that Papa will stream for him all day long, and then he can hold me in his arms while we go to the moon, because I love Richard Hart. And I tweeted last year that Richard Hart changed my life like 14 months ago, I think. And to this day, that has held up completely. Everything he said from that point on has been the way I felt about him when I wrote that tweet. It never really changed. Like, yeah, the way he acted changed a little bit, but like he was, why did I want to watch Richard Hart? Because he was calling out bullshit straight up. And I loved it. I fucking loved it. I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but he's making these other guys look like morons. And I love that shit.
Richard's better at slaying enemies than he is at like rallying his own troops, if I'm just being honest. But that's okay. Some generals need to be able to.
Can I make a potentially controversial statement that I just thought? I think if more Hexagons learnt and parroted the shit that Orca says rather than the shit that Richard says, I think we would be better off in total. Like, I think we would
a
do.
lot of pressure, dude, because I also get toxic as hell on Twitter, so I got to clean.
Okay, well, I guess I'm only going by what I've heard you say on these streams. I haven't really.
Yeah, you know, that's
screwed
the
up
difference, though, right?
tweets.
Is like I kind of empathize with Richard because, dude, like just sitting there doing this, like eventually my brain is like, dude, F this. I just want to like kill you now. It's such a waste of time. But then when you're in person, you have a free flowing conversation. Then it's like, yeah, dude, this is easy to just chat about and be cordial and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think some of it is just people hide from them, but they tweet at them, you know.
The other thing I was thinking, right? Like I agree with Richard in his Saivard book where he says money is like a personality multiplier, right?
Yep.
So what the problem is if you go to a point where you have got so much money that it is borderline unlimited, small aspects of your personality that may have been manageable in the past could come out and be like the scale of that once you magnify everything up. So Richard might not have been a materialistic megalomaniac motherfucker, but then the money just magnifies everything out so that even then that small component of his personality could become large enough that it becomes noticeable and criticizable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think I can still believe him when he says that he's not a materialistic guy. Like when he says he's doing it, I can believe it because no, dude, I've got friends that like own an island that they don't give a shit about that. It's different. Like being able to spend money and being bound to the power of money are two totally different things.
But are you gonna stand by that with the types of things that he has been buying?
Sure, they're just things.
They are like the height of materialistic.
Yeah, but there's also underlying reasons that you might do that. Like those watches appreciated in value, those cars can appreciate in value. So like there's a reason that they're considered the highest luxury goods. It's because they're worth more than the parts that assembled them. The product is more valuable and it can never be duplicated because they're like handcrafted goods.
I think the Ferrari will go up. I think the rest of them will go down.
They'll all fluctuate.
Richard only likes to buy stuff.
When I say the Ferrari, I need to be clear because there was two. So the 1,000 horsepower like limited edition FXX or whatever, like whatever that one was. That one I believe is rare enough and epic enough to go up in value. I think everything else he bought will go down in value.
Probably, yeah. I mean, well,
cars are difficult, man. Buying cars that appreciate is incredibly difficult. The easiest way to do it is go right to literally the most expensive cars you can buy. So if you're buying like Veyrons and Paganis and Koenigsegg's and the most expensive Ferraris, like those have the best chance of being easy picks that will go up. Other than that, it's actually quite difficult to choose vehicles that will go up in value.
For sure. Yeah, and I think though, like there is a balance there, right? So he can say that he doesn't do it for himself, but like it doesn't, you know, what's that phrase? Like it's easier to cry on a Mercedes-Benz than it is to cry on a bicycle. Like it's like there is something to be said about if you did have to waste money, you'd probably not waste it on 1,000 cheeseburgers. You'd waste it on like a Ferrari, and that would be cooler. You know, so there is a balance. I'm not saying that he's clearly not free of a materialistic enjoyment, but that's fine, dude. He came from means and he worked hard, and so spoil yourself. You got one life to enjoy it. But on the flip,
I've got a friend that's a high up in a bank. He's now a managing director of a bank in Australia, and he actually said to me when we were a lot younger, like way before he ever got to that position, because both of us were really into cars, like really, really into cars. And he said to me, it was when I was thinking about getting my Audi R8, and he was like, just do it, man. And he said, but you need to realize that the ultra wealthy, that like people who were born in extreme wealth don't give a shit about this, because it's not like they never had that situation where they wanted it and couldn't have it. Right. All of this stuff was always easily within reach. So that want what you can't have never entered their thoughts. So they're like, yeah, I can have literally any car I want. So there wasn't that desire. And I never realized that, but I never, like, he sort of, him also not coming from wealth had identified that and I hadn't. So I think you can see that Richard did not come from wealth, like
For sure.
in terms of his formative years with the stuff that he's buying right now.
He obviously didn't come from wealth, dude. He wears matching sequin outfits that are like, that's not what you do, man. Like, I love listening to Crypto Stylist when she's like having a brain hemorrhage watching this man wear his outfit. Like, that's not style, bro. That's not fashion. Just because you bought the expensive threads, like, you're not wearing them correctly.
Yeah,
dude, I'd be the same way. Like, I don't live in like a fashionista world, so I would be like, what's that? Gold top, gold bottom, gold shoes, gold watch. Let's do this thing. Like, let's go.
Yeah. What's the saying? There's like a quote: "Money doesn't buy fashion sense."
It definitely doesn't, dude. I just wear sweatpants and sweatshirts, and that'll never change.
Definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with this stream. with
the Sweden
with their stream. With
there's everyone's tagging me, but I'm very confused about the context. Because I think he wants somebody there to stream it.
Yeah, I think he wants someone physically there.
Yeah, but like everyone at the same time.
Can we talk about how they've got a documentary film crew that apparently can't pivot to a live stream? Like,
yeah, like
you don't have enough equipment on hand to do both.
Yeah, production value.
None of them got an iPhone and a lapel mic or
none
anything.
of their cameras are Wi-Fi enabled. They've just got a Polaroid camera and
they're like literally
like one of those VHS, those old school VHS cameras where you actually put the tape in the fucking side of it.
Yeah.
I hope we can watch it.
Got the lens cap on. Hey guys, we've been trying to film this, but we're not getting any video feed. Yeah, the lens cap's on, bro.
We're getting the 121 RH pump right now. RH fake dual stream restream RH pump while
nice.
in Sweden talking to Erica Kroll, who really I mean they're doing this for the documentary probably because Richard at this point knows this dude's just trolling. The dude's not that stupid. Like he said
a lot of telling things. Like he did admit that he actually is really bullish on Pulse Chain in the subcontext of him bashing Pulse Chain. So it's like
he just covers.
I just get tired of it, dude. It's so boring. Like I don't know what it's like to just demand attention on the internet. Like I just couldn't care less. So it's so weird watching like grown men use psychological warfare to achieve like views. It's like, how badly do you want people to stare at you, you weirdo? Like.
Orca, I actually said on the Late Show, I made the comment, I think it's actually an acceptable position to take to say, I do not believe in this cryptocurrency in terms of its worthiness. However, simultaneously and like appearing to be paradoxical is that I also believe it will pump like fuck. So that could have been said of Dogecoin, Shiba Inu. There were coins that I identified. I said, I think this is garbage in terms of its technical merit, but I also believe that it'll pump like shit. And I think
there's a lot of community behind it. So I agree. I see that.
For various other factors like the cultishness of hexagons, the biggest airdrop thing, all of these factors that could lead it to pump that don't necessarily tick Eric's boxes for what he wants to see in like a real high quality crypto.
I can agree with that. But the couple of things where he's really trolling is just where he's empirically incorrect on how liquidity operates with like the tier 20s and stuff like that. And that's fine. But it's like that for me is frustrating because I spend a lot of my time trying to bring like real information to people. I've never charged for my information. And then I've got people with, 100 times the following I'll probably ever care to have, using their free time and energy to mislead people who are out here searching for truth. And I can recall a time where I didn't know what the truth necessarily looked like. And it took that critical thought process to be able to form a true opinion on the world around me. So I would have been really frustrated if it turned out one of my mentors or an influencer in my circle was intentionally misleading me and setting me back time because I don't get that back.
That's gross. Yeah, you're right. That's gross.
Mm-hmm.
The number of people that need guidance and will look to the high follow account YouTubers, high follow account Twitter accounts as the people who should know what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's too bad, but I see this as it's not going to go anywhere, right? Like there's a ton of money to be made in keeping people uninformed. And I talked about this. I gave a lecture on economics, and we talk about, the equilibrium of supply and demand and the difference between commodities and differentiated products. And if you derive all of the value that changes a husk of sweet corn from a commodity, sweet corn, to there's this really popular brand of sweet corn in my hometown. Well, they charge different prices, right? The general commodity value versus the differentiated product, the branded value are different, but they're the same sweet corn. They come from the same exact genes. And so the only explanation for the difference in price is that consumers are less informed. They have been led through advertising strategies, marketing strategies to believe that this one tastes better and therefore justifies the better price. But if you were to blindfold these individuals, and like Pepsi and Coke had done that back in the day, they can't distinguish the difference in the relative flavor. So the real underlying value of what makes that profitability is just that people don't know better. And so I try to help people become more informed, because you close the gap on that haircut that you take every time that you enrich the entrepreneur who is simply withholding information from you. Some entrepreneurs are not withholding information from you, and they are simply justifying the actual energy that it took to produce a valuable product or service. And I love that. That's capitalism. But when people profiteer and they take advantage of your lack of information in the system, that to me is unethical, and I don't support that.
I agree. And I was just a bit shocked that Maxi just jumped back up from 1.5 to 1.7. Hectic.
Nice. That'll be interesting to see. I think Maxi will continue to do really well for people, and it'll probably be a magnet for people trying to get quote into Hex during the bear market, because they can look at the relative all-time high of Maxi and kind of say like, hey, at least I'm down, 50, 60% from the all-time high of Maxi, and I know that it entails Hex plus yield plus tiny decimal value of risk, counterparty risk. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The thing that will eventually happen, Maxi will probably reach its scarcity critical mass point faster than Hex, just because it's a smaller supply, right? It's just like the idea of Hex, but with smaller supply and higher guaranteed reward on a 1-to-1 ratio. But then once it does reach critical mass, that just becomes even more bullish for Hex, which in turn creates greater price appreciation on Maxi. So I do see them as super complementary. People have DM'd me a little bit nervous that like Maxi is taking from the value of Hex. And I don't see it like that. I see just more eyes, more attention, more economic energy, because we haven't reached the point yet at which Hex is producing the real firepower that I believe the math will eventually produce with enough money in the system. And so in the meantime, people are getting that premium on Maxi, but it's not life-changing. It's, a 2x premium is nothing like a 10,000x price appreciation. So I think it's just good for the ecosystem at large.
Well, this is one example. You said that people should counter trade me.
Yeah.
This is one example where I've been saying that Maxi is overpriced, like as in overextended in premium.
For sure, yeah.
Since 1.5. So like when the first time it hit 1.5, I was like, this is insanity. Then it went, up, stayed around 1.7 for a really long time. So when it came back down to 1.5, and I thought it was
didn't it go as high as like 1.92 or something?
I disagree with that sentiment.
I think it definitely got over 1.8. It wouldn't have been if it got to 1.9.
What's it at right
it wouldn't
now?
have been there long.
Right.
Sorry, Jim Rat, what we're saying? You disagree with?
I disagree with that sentiment.
My sentiment that it should come
That
off the
it's
premium.
unusually high.
Dude.
I don't care what
man.
anyone says. Me and Sam literally spreadsheeted 3 days before it came out. We said the premium's going to be high as balls.
Damn.
I'm gonna refill my coffee real quick. I'll be right back.
Literally, I did 3
Go ahead,
episodes
Orca.
back to
I think-
back to back when we were still in the minting phase. I said this shit's gonna blow because it takes all the smart contracts risk out of there, which people never want to talk about, right? But that's a huge part of it too.
No. It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, I'm talking about the staking
It
contract risk
increases,
to having
it increases contract risk.
No, because you don't understand
Because
how do most
you're
people
still-
lose their
you're
hex.
still
How do most
exposed-
people lose their hex?
You're still exposed to the smart contract risk that exists in Hex, and you're also exposed to any additional contracts that were required.
Well, I disagree because I think most people lose their hex in the smart contract because it's stuck in the smart contract and they can't switch wallets. Not guys like you, not guys like you, not guys like Sam, not guys like Orca, but guys like me. Guys like me have more trouble because I lost all my shit because it was locked into the smart contract. I would have done anything.
Not smart. That's not smart contract risk though. That's the risk of
human error,
losing your keys, like the exposure.
Well, whatever the value prop is, the human error value prop, then whatever that would be called.
But
I'm telling you, having the same amount of economic energy,
Jim Rat.
Full length stake.
It wouldn't help you if you had Maxi and someone got your seed phrase or tricked you into giving you their seed phrase. They'll take your Maxi as well. That doesn't help shit.
I understand all of that.
They'll just take everything.
We're just using the wrong words, y'all. I understand where you're coming from, Jim Rat. You're talking about the opportunity.
Let me say one more time where I'm coming from before Orca goes.
Mm-hmm.
There's way more positive externalities to Maxi than there are to Hex. Period. A fuck ton load more.
There's at least
that's
2 or 3.
That's my point.
3, yeah.
A fuck.
So
more.
What do you guys think would be a reasonable premium at this stage? For me, I'll say
I haven't done the math yet.
So ballpark it then. Like,
it should be
reasonable or reasonable max? Reasonable or reasonable max? Like what? Like both. I want both. I want to know what you think.
I think it'll stay above 2x after this is all over and like whatever
above 2.
Yeah, I do. I think it'll be twice the price of Hex.
What the F, man?
Well, if I'm right about this, will I be a genius in 2 years?
I think I think the premium will increase as time increases. That makes sense, right?
I'm talking about next bull market, 2024, after the halving. We're all back in business. Whatever.
I would say, like right now, my fair value would be 1.6, maybe a little over 1.6.
I was going to say 1.1. So I think right now 1.1 would be a reasonable premium.
That's stupid.
No, I agree, because you can't realize the yield until it finishes in 15 years.
That doesn't mean it doesn't have the economic value. It still has more value.
Underlying. It's still a 10%. I'm saying a 10% premium.
No.
And then
but on top
you're applying the longer period better.
We got 10% for the 150 million bonus alone.
No.
I know what you're saying, Tangent. I understand what you're saying. But I'm saying, to me, that speculative value has much more value than it does to you.
You know what I've just realized?
That's fair.
I think the reason why the premium is so high is because everyone is thinking like that.
I can't find another motherfucker.
That the benefit of the state that there's some kind of benefit now. It doesn't work like that. Like
that's up to
really
you.
Does,
that's up to
it
the
really
user.
doesn't.
That's up to the user.
I think it does though, Tangent, a little bit because.
But so do you guys agree with me that everything above 1.0 is speculation?
Yes.
Because the underlying value at the moment is basically 1.
No.
Like just over 1.0 is its actual.
No, because you're not taking the other positive externality and value propositions into account. You're just acting like they don't exist because it's not a pump and mental. This isn't all just numbers on a screen. A lot of it.
I think you're just
over acting like they don't exist. I'm like acting like they don't exist yet, which they don't.
Yeah, he's just
we haven't got there.
Over discounting, and we are putting a premium on what he's.
I'm just thinking into genius level. I'm fucking joking. But
Tangent, the reason
how am I the only person that is looking at this correctly?
There's only 3 of us,
right? Guys.
Right.
No, because everyone I speak to has got the attitude that you guys have got.
Well, everyone I talked to
Hey.
thought Bitcoin was going to 12K, and you thought it was going to 100.
I can see both sides of a tangent. The reason that I'm at 1.6 is because I understand that people do assume that it's the value. They're extrapolating the future. They're discounting it differently than you are. You're discounting it to the true interchangeable market value, but they're discounting it to the future cash flows value. So it's just two different perspectives.
Yes. So a bit like how Tesla went ramped up in price because people were thinking about how awesome it's going to be in the future. Like, so people are like, that's sick in the future. I'll pay more for it now. But Jim Rat, that comment that you made about Bitcoin, I'm trying to educate people on this, that with Bitcoin, no one really knows what it's actually worth. So it's understandable that some people will predict 10K and some people predict 100K and some people will be wrong and some people will be right, or maybe no one's right, or do something else. But with this, there's actually a calculatable underlying value.
I disagree. I disagree. Because you just taking all the speculative value out. Why did Dogecoin go up 64,000%?
Mathematics.
Dogecoin went up 64,000% from the bottom for no reason. Why?
Yeah, and that one didn't have a calculatable underlying value.
So you're saying that the trading
does.
value of this, but because it trades between the pairs, will just stay really low?
No. I accept
in his world, it goes from 1.1 up to where we're talking about it, but it's going to be over time. And we're just saying, give it to me now.
So I'm saying you get premiums and discounts around the mean, and the mean line at the moment is just above 1.0. And so, look,
I just couldn't disagree more. I just
I'll
literally
make
couldn't
the
disagree
better
more.
case for tangent. I'll make tangent's argument, but I'll make it better.
Please.
Because the
gains
use of one hex, because of the let's just take them liquid hex versus liquid maxi. Liquid maxi does represent staked hex. However, the liquidity is a little bit more illusory because there's the idea of an emergency end stake in any hex stake. I'm not saying that maxi has any built. It doesn't have a feature to do an emergency end stake. But if you were to do the emergency end stake on the maxi stake, the value of what you're going to be left with after penalties currently is vastly less valuable than one hex. And so if you're looking at them in terms of just each unit, which is a little misleading because one is based on unit stake, then you could make the argument that until enough time has accrued, the actual risk of some adversary going and ending the maxi stake against all users' will would result in a vastly less worthy price than one hex unit in liquid.
I didn't even think of that.
I know you didn't. That's why every time that you talk, I have to improve your arguments for you, but that's why we make it
This
great.
is a tradable max length stake.
Emotional damage.
A tradable max length stake. A tradable max length stake is worth much more than 1.1 of a hex. I don't care what world you're in.
Not yet.
No, I don't care about your yets. I don't care about your yets and your calculations because they're not real. Is it in the code? Is it in the code that it has to be a certain price?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, it's in the fucking code.
Why?
How?
So show me the calculation in the code. Where can we go to look at it?
It's in the code that it'll only be worth. It'll only be worth what people are pricing it at now in a fucking.
Well, no
year
shit.
plus.
Everyone with a brain knows that. Everyone with a functioning brain knows that.
So my point
is clear. So that's a stupid point in my opinion.
So the premium that we're not able to calculate is how well people defend that premium, because we know that it will take about a year for it to reach true underlying asset value. But that doesn't mean that I want to give it up cheaper now. So that's the premium.
I cannot wait to come back
is the individual
and actually rub my poop on your head,
dude. With tangent, you can come back in like 3 weeks and you're gonna be on the right.
If I'm with you on this, you're never, ever. If this shit's trading at 2x in 1 month for the rest of time, I'm gonna kill you.
Someone clip this and put tangent behind bars.
Because you're confusing me, and I don't know if I'm retarded or not.
I'm glad that I'm going so hard against everyone on this, because when that thing swings back and goes from a premium into a discount, which will happen at some point, because that is just how this shit works, I will be able to say, look at this fucking.
You'll be able to say GRC minted 90% of his 1-for-1. So who cares? But it's just the whole point is that I will see.
I'm okay.
If you're
I'm
wrong about this,
fine.
I get to slap you as hard as I can.
No, Jim Rat, I'm not mad at the chart. I accept that the
No.
premium is
I know
is
what you're
insane.
saying. Exactly. I know exactly what you're saying.
But my point is, like, I'm surprised that people don't agree with me that it's insane. Like,
can you make the case? Can you make the appropriate case without using my argument of the risk of a adversary?
Yeah.
Can you make the case for Maxi being worse?
Yeah, mine was not even talking because that would, bro, that would mean that the underlying value, assuming an adversarial attack on this and being emergency end state, would be, it wouldn't be 1.0 hex, it would be like nearly 0, because the penalty would wipe the stake out. So in terms of your like worst case scenario underlying value, it's actually 0.
Right, up for several years. But now take that out, because I think the contract's very secure.
I have to ignore that because that's such an extreme,
right?
Like
super duper, almost impossible event. So can you make the case for Maxi being worth less than hex without entertaining some super edge case like that?
Yeah. So it's as simple as that. When you have a plot of underlying value, and you get, so like GBTC is probably a good example where you end up with like premiums and discounts.
Sure.
And so if you accept that for something to kind of like follow the mean, if it deviates, it will possibly swing back and the momentum can actually carry it past the mean in the other direction. So if that's the sort of path that we end up taking, you can sell Maxi at 1.7x hex and buy it fucking back in at like somewhere closer to 1. I've already done it, like as in selling at 1.7 and buying back in at 1.5. Like, so unless you expect that premium to never sort of like head back towards less insane, then it makes sense to work that fluctuation, and it's fairly safe, right? Like as in it's a safe bet if you subscribe to that fluctuation. That the premium cannot just like rocket away.
It says on the website though. It literally, there's a chart and it goes like this, and the line of hex goes.
It's just a guess. Yeah, they're just guessing.
It's just clear though. That's just how it works. I mean, I would assume more like that. I'm just saying we were talking about more the top end, right? Like, I thought Jay was talking more like it'll take forever to like ratchet up to that top, even if that did occur, rather than it being like, I think it could just go there quick, but then like bounce high and bounce low. I guess that's kind of more what I think.
I guess my whole point is if I can take the profit now that would take me years for the underlying to actually catch up on, and then so say I sell at 1.7. I haven't actually done the math, but say for the underlying to get to 1.7x, say it takes a year, right? I can sell at 1.7x now, and I can sit on liquid hex for up to an entire year. And if at any time in that year the premium comes back towards 1, I am better off than anyone who took your attitude and sat on it and sat in Maxi. That's my
better
point.
argument. That's the better argument. And then I can involve that one.
That's my main argument.
Trade all you want.
No,
DRC's going to hit you with, I'll just hold it for 15 years though, bro. So,
literally, I will hit you with that because I probably am. I don't plan on selling it. I don't care that. I do this all for my brain. Now,
Jim Rat. This is different to trading because if you're trading any other crypto asset, you don't have a marker for what it's actually worth. This is the first crypto asset that you actually are able to mathematically calculate what its underlying value is.
Yeah, but why is its underlying value the exact price value?
It just is.
It always is? So you're saying the underlying value of Bitcoin is the exact price value right now?
Because everything above that is
everything's stupid then, and then everything's dumb. Like that.
No. Only this one. Only this asset, because no
We'll
other
see,
asset.
Tangent. If you're wrong about this, I'm truly going to disrespect you.
Bro. You
I love
won't
it.
ever need to disrespect me on this because I will be.
We'll
proven
see,
right
because it's
eventually.
trading at 1.7, like I guessed the day after it came out. Like literally, me and Sam were spreadsheeting this, and we're like, "Oh shit, this is going to be lit."
So,
And we were like, and then the guy who coded it was also saying the same thing. So
bro,
it's crazy.
so we certainly don't have enough data to say who is right yet.
No, we
What
don't.
do you?
But
Let's
so
look
far,
at
so
this.
good for Jim Rat. So far, so not good for Tangent.
Typical, right? So let's look at. Here's something that I'm more curious about. Do you think that the volatility of the relative premium or discount of Maxi will be greater or less when we get, let's say, so we're how many days out of the gate, right? We're less than a year out of the gate. Let's move to the opposite end of the curve, and let's be less than a year away. Okay, less than a month, dude. I don't know. Time for me is totally irrelevant.
Like less than 2 months.
Okay,
sure, but
so then let's say that we're less than 2 months away from the end of the stake, where you could exchange your Maxi back for the proportionate amount of hex. Do you think that the volatility goes up or down?
My brain will not even entertain hypotheticals that are 15 years from now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with
Well,
that.
My brain won't even let me think about it because it's just so not relevant.
I agree with that.
But let's just say that the price of hex remains exactly constant, and we're just 15 years down the road, and now we're 2 months away from this thing ending. You've now accrued all of those bonuses. Do you think that the liquidity providers in the market will behave in ways that allow people to extract maximum value of the Maxi to relative underlying hex? Or do you think that people would see this massive stake coming and they go like, well, I'm not going to let you just dig into my liquidity and take all my stable coins and begin to remove liquidity as that becomes
if the point that you're making, like if you're saying that the relevance of the underlying value only actually becomes increasingly relevant when it's near the end of the stake, and that's why it's so insane at the moment because we're so far away from the end. Is that what you're saying? I would maybe agree to that. Like, agree with that.
That's just a small component of it, and then the other component is like the market is observing this, and so like if there was a massive premium, obviously it should become more in line with the underlying value as you get closer to the end of the stake. But does the market see, they know that you're locked in, and so if there's any premium at all, they begin to remove liquidity so that you're not able to maximize a profit off of their stable coin or their hex in exchange for your thing that's going to be redeemed. And if enough market players protect themselves from this massive stake, does that leave these new holders with kind of the default of, I'm not going to sell the Maxi a day before the end of the stake. I have to just redeem my hex and then go looking for liquidity if I choose to sell in hex terms, not in Maxi terms.
Yeah, I would. If there was a premium or a discount close to the end, I would lose faith in humanity. Like that would.
TRC is going to be on the 4x premium above underlying asset value a day before, and he's going to send you a screenshot of his Lambo.
Nope. I'm going to play it like a God mode. I'm going to crush it. I don't know what it is that I'm going to crush, but I'm going to do it.
I kind of want to take a bet, but I
What's
don't
the
know
bet,
how to
dude? Fucking tell me how much.
Structure it.
How many supercars do I have to send to Perth before I destroy? No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any money, bro. The fuck are we supposed to do?
But like, I just mean, it doesn't need to be a massive bet. I'm trying to think of how to structure it so that I can.
Well, think about it and literally come up with the bet. We'll represent it. And we'll actually do it. We'll put a date down or something, and we'll think about it on the side. We'll try to think about a good way to do it. And I'll
hey, Hexographer just commented that Motley's going to be streaming the debate.
Yep, I'm trying to find that right this second. Motley's going to be streaming the debate, guys. I wanted to make sure that was true before I doubled.
Word. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have cut you off.
News. That is news. I was so cut that we weren't going to get to see it.
Yeah, man. I'm just glad that they're debating a day after I decimated Eric Wall's Twitter thread on Quarter Show.
Yes.
So I'm sure Richard's just going to read off my tweets or read off the transcript of what I said.
Hey, great to see you in here, Maddie. I saw you talking about the debate between me and Tangent. You were enjoying that. I thought that was pretty fun too. That was a good time.
Well, I think that's the first time we've ever disagreed, man.
Well, you know,
I'm pretty
if
sure that's the
history
first
is
time we've
any
ever disagreed.
if history is any indication of the future, I'm probably going to take GRC's side. So.
Well, guys, listen. No,
the
listen.
history is so short, bro.
Listen. We're done with that. I love Maxi, and I've learned a lot about it, so I'm a little geeked out on it too. So it's cool. We're all chilling.
Cool.
Guys.
Mhm.
Whatever.
No,
I want to know
it's
about
okay
this
to be bullish on Maxi. It's okay
Oh
to
no,
be a
I'm
fan of
bullish as
Maxi.
shit, and I'm going to destroy you.
That's okay.
You have no
that's
idea.
okay.
You don't
But
understand.
the premium being like 150% at
It's all relative, baby.
you know
Hey,
what?
it's in the code, right? Hey, it's in the code, right? Right, like you said, it's built into the code. That's why it's 1.6 right now.
No,
Bill, right the fuck in.
Tangent,
Bill,
you're going
right-
to need a pair of glasses to come up with a better counter argument because that was smooth as hell.
It's built right the fuck in. It's like you could calculate.
Shit.
But can you calculate a bunch of plebs buying it?
Did you just like do a Houdini with whales and get like whales in on your whales?
I'll whales all over your face.
You sound like whales right now.
Why?
You sound like whales right now. This
Why?
shit is locked in, mathematically destined.
No, that's what you were saying.
No.
You were saying that you can do a
never said-
calculation to come up with the value of Maxi. I said that's
I literally
retarded.
never said that.
I said that's retarded, and that's what you said, and I responded.
The underlying.
Yes,
You
I
can't
understand what
mathematically
you're
calculate
saying.
the premium.
Theoretical
Someone
value.
needs to pull up Bob the
You
guy's
said the
comment.
premium was in the code. You said the 1.6 premium was in the code. I said the underlying is
I
calculated.
didn't say
Not
that.
the premium. Yeah,
What the
you
fuck? Don't
Yes,
put
you
any
did.
dumb shit words in my
just
mouth.
said
I didn't say
you just
it.
said 1.6. Oh,
Don't
back me
fucking
up,
sit-
man.
Don't
What the
bring
fuck?
me into your fucking world of dumb fucking ideas.
Oh my
I don't
god,
fucking
you're
like it. I don't
you're
like it.
that.
Don't be
you're like
twisting
that
my
troll.
words either. All I said is that there's more positive externalities in Maxi, and you're not accounting for them in your price speculation. And that's all I'm saying. You're saying for some reason you said you can calculate it. You said it like
Bro,
6 times in a row.
Are you trolling me right now?
No, I'm not. I'm confused as fuck.
This is awesome.
I'm confused as actual fuck. I want to
think-
know if I'm retarded or not.
No, I think you were joking. I think you were joking when you said, "Don't make me rewind this stream, man."
Rewind
You
the
said
bitch.
that-
Copy
you said
it.
that the
Paste
1.6
it. Send it
you said
out.
that
I've
the
never said a word that can be
1.6
copied.
was
and
programmed into the code. You said that's why the price is 1.6 premium right now.
Okay,
because it's programmed
I'm
into the code.
actually going to download this in 4K after and clip exactly what the fuck you said because I don't miss when it comes to this dumb shit. I don't miss
Oh,
spell.
my cheeks hurt.
I do not. I know what
Holy
I said because I
shit.
felt it from the day I woke up this morning, and I wouldn't have said another word other than that.
I think, guys, I think
I don't know
GRC
shit
and I
about
need
the
to.
code, so
I think
why would I ever
GRC and I
think
need to
it was
get
built in?
into a ring. I think.
Oh, man.
That would be
Oh my
that would be fun too. Tangent.
Who's going to watch the debate inside?
No, like low key, like that'd be probably like a decent fight. Like because Tangent's
No,
way bigger.
no, dude, you would kick my ass.
You think that it looks like it? I'm telling you, I'm not as big in person.
Man, you guys are
Guys,
killing me.
this has been absolutely crazy. Could someone? I forgot to look at the chat for the last 75,000
Is this stream really happening? Is this stream really happening?
Go to
the
Motley's
freaking-
stream. Let's check it out.
The Motley stream?
Let's
Is that real?
transition everyone over and see if we can do it.
Yeah, man. 115 in the live chat, bro.
There was 155 up in here at some point.
Sheesh.
Yeah, me and Tangent were just like fucking screaming. I didn't even see this shit. Dude, that was amazing though. I feel so invigorated.
Sorry, man. That's
No, dude, I love it. I love it. That's what makes me feel fucking great every day. I'd fight with people just to fight, but this one I actually love. So,
bro, one of the most live viewers, most comments, most live comments stream I've done was one where people thought I was going to debate a like faceless troll with like 120.
dude, that was lit. I was
followers.
watching that stream. I was looking forward to whatever the fuck was going on. I did not know what was going on, but I was like,
It was
dude,
dope. I
somehow
really
you got
enjoyed
the
it.
algo right on that, and it just was like nuking. Like I was like, dude, this is
Yeah,
sick.
oh yeah, true. Yeah. We must have triggered the algo somehow.
Well, no, it was something about the way you said it because I didn't know exactly what you were talking about, but the way it was phrased, I was like, this could be lit as fuck. I just didn't, I wasn't like paying attention to what you were tweeting about exactly, but it was like debate, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like Tangent's gonna debate some guy, and I think you just like hit a really good like couple words on the thing, and then you were like calling this. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but the guys, it's really hard to have a debate with a person with no face there.
Yeah.
almost
He
impossible.
had spent multiple days just trolling hexagons and getting excited about it, calling us lol.
It's on.
cows
It's
and
on.
shit.
It's
Like,
on.
just-
It's on.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Someone
know
find
what,
it for me,
channel it is?
please.
So Motley's YouTube
I
channel.
got it.
eh?
I'm pulling it up. Well, guys, we're gonna end the stream right here. I think.
You bet.
Let's.
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
Go
Yep.
over to
Yeah,
Motley's stream. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna drop it below right here.
Very cool.
See, let's do it. See
I'm
us.
dropping it. I'm dropping it, guys. Get in there.
Peace,
Hey,
y'all.
guys, I'll talk to you soon. Everyone have a great day. I'm just
You
gonna
bet.
bounce.
Peace, brother.
Guys, hit the link below. Hit the link below. It's Motley. It's Motley, guys. Smash that link. Go give him biceps in the chat, guys. Biceps in the chat. Go say GRC sent you. Go say GRC sent you. GRC sent you. Spam biceps. Ah, spam them. Spam them. Spam them. Ah, ah. Spam them. Go in there and spam the biceps. Dude, I dropped the link 11 times, Crypto Phil. I'm going on my phone real quick. So I want to transition over and make sure I'm watching before I go. I'm so excited I can't even type. There we go. All right, guys. Go smash those biceps in the chat. I'll talk to you all later. If you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I know who you are. If you're in here and you haven't subscribed, you're an asshole. Please do it. Please, 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 please.
Young folks, you dripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. Point one every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pro chains out, now get me a check.